See if I can get it. You know what's going on. You've been away for far too long. You can't come back and think you're still mine. Out of touch, my baby, my poor discarded baby. I said, baby, 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 you're out of time. Well, baby, 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 you're out of time. I said, baby, 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 you're out of time. You are left out of there, without a doubt, 'cause baby, 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 you're out of time. All right, enough of that awful singing. Awful singing. But just got to give people time to come on. While people are coming on, I'm going to get my headlines out of the way. This is from the Israeli paper Haaretz. My son cries all night from hunger, and I have nothing to give him. Yeah, he's going to grow up to be a terrorist. Gazans reel from a day of deadly airstrikes during Ramadan. That's just religion. Israel, editorial from Haaretz, an Israeli paper. Israel, not Hamas, is derailing the Gaza ceasefire and preventing hostages' return. Now, that can't be true. That newspaper's anti-Semitic. And this is Ramadan in Gaza Strip. They deserved it. They attacked first. No home, no homes, no place to go, abandoned by the world. But October 7th. All right, let's move on to this. This is Nixie. I showed you this the other day, but I think it's even more true now that Nixie has moved above that $2 line. I think it's breaking out of this downward trend. You know, you can draw anything on a chart, and my friend did this, but I think he did a very good job with it. And then I want to show you this chart that I made this morning. It's not a chart. It's just a little cheat sheet. So this morning, obviously this has changed during the day, but this morning Nixie was trading at 209 and Nixie's market cap was $31 million. Finger was trading at 148. Finger's market cap was $85 million. GTII was trading at 15 cents. GTII's market cap is 51 million at that price. And Railtown down, trading at 36 million market cap. So what kind of leaps out to me on these four stocks, I mean, there's plenty of other stocks to look at, but what leaps out at me is there's two companies with their market cap in the mid 30 million range. And then there's a company worth 50 million in market cap. And Finger, which is probably the most visible in terms of news and upcoming positives, is trading under 100 million. Anyway. Let me come back to your comments. Hey, everybody. Look, I took a little bit of a break yesterday, and I'll try to be better in terms of not getting frustrated. And there's plenty to talk about today, so that's good. I really had nothing that I could think of to talk about yesterday. But one thing I want to talk about, which is unfortunate, it's why I picked that song. Baby, you're out of time. I said, baby, 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 you're out of time. Gold has doubled. And we never really got into gold because and I'm not blaming you. It's me too. I've been chasing these stories, these possible squeezes, and I didn't, in retrospect, I didn't think the criminals could pop the bubble when Finger was squeezing, when GTI was squeezing, but they were able to. So gold, let me just go to gold price. It's goldprice.org. Gold's over 3,000, 3,034. So what this does is, in the resource area, you as investors, me as well, we have a chance to get into cycles when CEOs have no money. There's no money. And they're trying to keep their company together. They're trying to keep their project together. You can think of the Oro Grande and Torchlight. And many times those CEOs go to the criminals without realizing it. And I don't need to get distracted by that. We've talked about it so much, what happens. But when the commodity prices are low, in the case of gold and silver and platinum, you can just buy the commodity. It's very hard to buy oil. What are you going to do? Where are you going to store it? You're going to buy a big barrel of crude oil and store it? You're going to buy 100 barrels of crude oil? It's a lot of commodities. It's really impractical. But you can buy those commodities, and gold's doubled now. And so I would argue, let's just take an example. I mean, I don't know if it's realistic, but we could have purchased gold at $1,500 an ounce, and it's now $3,000. It's doubled. But if we imagine that there's a reset in the gold price coming, and I'm just doing this because it's simple arithmetic, we could make 10x on our money if they reset the price of gold at $15,000 an ounce. Well, now, I mean, it's fairly obvious. That's a 10x. But now if we buy gold, and this is also fairly obvious, at 3,000, and it does the same thing, it's a 5x. So we've missed that opportunity to turn a relatively small amount of money into the beginning of wealth. I'm not saying gold's not attractive here at 3,000, but I'd say that I can't think of a word, but that ability to leverage, I guess, such a bad word, but to leverage a relatively small amount of money into really big returns has changed. You got to start at 3,000. You can't start at 1,500. Well, the other thing that happens in that market, and I'm using gold right now as an example, is the ETFs start moving. and you know, we could look. I'm not going to go through it because I don't have any numbers in my head, but the ETFs have gone up, and I don't want to look it up, but they've gone up. The other thing that goes up is the big companies, the big miners, GLD, Newmont, Franco-Nevada, Agnico, Aramis. There's plenty. There's 12 of them. And they start to go up. And then what's really kind of weird in the gold space is so many companies have been starved for capital for a long time there. Almost anything else you looked at would be ignored or classified as a junior miner. And I'm using a broad stroke as I'm talking to you. I'm sure you can find examples where I'm wrong. But those smaller companies are starved for money. And so you go from the big producing names that everyone has in their portfolio. People buy into the ETFs to buy the precious metals, but also to get into the bigger companies. And then those go up. And then the money comes, as they call it, down the waterfall. It comes to the mid-size and junior miners, and you can roughly break those into, I would suppose, 3 or 4 areas. One is a smaller miner with good to marginal reserves who's producing, but their production and their cost wasn't working necessarily at $1,200 gold, but it's brilliant now at $3,000 gold. Then there's the miners who are close to production. They've spent a lot of money. They've sold a lot of stock because of the criminals, but they're hanging on, and they can come into production, but they're not quite there. But they have a proven resource, or as close to it as you can have before production starts. And then there's a group who have an idea, and they've been working on it, and they have science, they have proof to their satisfaction, and but they have infrastructure to build. They're off the road. They're not quite ready to go. And then I guess you could have a final basket where companies are really off the map in terms of location, off the map in terms of, the science hasn't been completed. It all makes sense, but the money doesn't come to them, and they're not producing. And it's not clear when they could produce. Could be 5, 6, 7 years from now if they have a discovery. Those are some of the breakdowns. But what happens in this world that's run by the criminals, and you know it all, you've experienced it all, and this gives you a chance, if you can take some of the lessons we've learned, to act for the next phase of the market. I'm afraid I've been very I don't know what the word is. I've been talking, for example, about silver for 2 or 3 years. I've to you, but I've pretty much been a broken record about what's coming in silver for, I don't know, 15 years. And obviously, just like with finger, for example, finger motion, there's a time when it runs, there's a time when it pulls back, and you know you're going to have to step aside and wait. And I saw that in silver in the beginning of the last decade. But I have to face the fact that I missed out on gold, and I'm going to miss out on silver. I'm not going to have a chance to rebuild my position in silver. Silver is, for all intents and purposes, for us, $40 an ounce now. I don't think it'll be here very much longer. I think when it breaks, for us, $55 an ounce physical, you'll never see these prices again. I'll never see these prices again. And monies that I had hoped to make in this market or get from other places are simply not going to be materialized in time to get into silver below $50 an ounce. Unfortunately, if and when monies materialize, the decision, I think, will be, do we buy at silver at $60, $70? And just like I showed you with gold, if you bought gold at $1,200, $1,500, and it's at $3,000, you're already feeling good. But you buy it now at $3,000, it's a different risk reward. I would buy gold, but it's a different risk reward. And silver is going to lose. We ran out of time on silver, and I'm accepting that. We have run out of time on silver. I've tried to get it across to people, but we're focused on GTII and MMTLP and endless discussion of GTII, MMTLP, and others, and we're waiting for other stocks. We have missed silver. So in my mind, silver's off the table, gold's off the table. So where do you go next? Well, if there's CEOs you're close to and projects you've stayed close to, you can go to companies and raise money for them. I have done that for the last 2-3 years, but again, I'm writing that off. The money is not coming soon enough. And so I think the ability to invest in attractive risk-reward deals with warrants and with upside, I think the venture capital firms, the red sock boys, the gold pinky ring boys and girls, they're all over it now. There's a wall of money coming into the resource area. I'm writing that off. And I have to write these off because I've been depressed about it. And I just have to accept we've missed it. We've missed it. So where are we? We're in the stage of having, the only thing we can invest in is stocks. So we missed the early opportunities. It's normal. It's human psychology. People don't want to act quickly enough. Monies don't flow quickly enough. And so from now on, I'm going to just try to focus only on buying into the resource stocks. And maybe at time to time, we'll just be like every other schmo. We'll have access to a secondary offering or something like that. But I really think we've run out of time to get in early on silver, to get in early on gold, and to get in early on private placements and funding of projects. Now the big pools of money come in, and the liars come in too. The liars come in. So those deals are not going to be, if shown to me, they're not going to be attractive. Now, I do want to put a ring fence around the project that many of you invested in, and I showed you. That I negotiated a while ago. Your money's already in there. And I think there might be room for a few more. And I'm gonna over the next 2 or 3 days go through my emails and reach out to the people that have asked and have the company connect with you. But unfortunately, time goes on while we focus on where we want to focus, which is fine. Can't be everywhere. But the cycle has moved from being able to buy the commodities at just unbelievable prices. That's gone. And the deals are gone. So now let's focus on the stocks. And I'll do that in this call later. But first, I want to go through the stocks we're in. I just wanted to get that off my chest because I think that's been something that has been depressing me. I'm letting go of it. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not going to anticipate being able to purchase for you, for other investors, silver at an extraordinary price. Gold, it's already moved. I think it makes sense, but it's glaring that silver's the one. All of you are going to come back to me wishing you had purchased silver and gold when the headlines show that silver behaves better than Bitcoin. But we're going to miss that, and I'm going to let it go. And then we're companies I could have negotiated tremendous deals for, where those are gone. Those are gone. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of money to be made. We just have to do it in the stock market. We have to buy the miners in the open miner market. We're not going to have the advantage of going into a hungry CEO and we're the only game in town. There is a wall of money coming in. It's March. It's March. And I predicted it, and that's where it is. So I'm letting go of any hope of that, and we'll get on with being regular investors with limited information. You got to listen to a guy like Lion or Ace to read charts, which to me is the very ass end of investing, reading charts. I'd much rather invest when I'm talking to the CEO, I'm providing money, and I'm getting all the information. But that's gone. That's gone. We've missed that chance. I do think oil and gas is slightly different, but that's getting very close to being done too. We are going to miss out on what I had hoped to offer, which were deals, investment banking deals. It's not going to happen. We're going to have to invest in the open market, which is life in the fast lane, as they say. Now, I want to go through these 4 stocks. Let me just see where. Yeah, gold is 3,033. Let's go with Finger first. Finger is $1.50, and the volume today is yeah, it's slow. Sorry. Okay, it's $1.50. According to Yahoo, the market cap right now is 86 million. I'm going to try to get you to start thinking about market caps because, for example, with finger motion, is it worth 86 million? I think so. I think it's worth 86 million. Is it worth $1 billion? I don't know. Let's see what the news is. But if the stock were to go to $12, as the rumors are that the research is coming out, it's $1 billion market cap, and that must mean there's some really good news coming. All right, the last headlines in finger motion, you can look these up. the most recent, I'll go backwards. Finger Motion announces participation in the 37th annual Roth conference 4 days ago. That's big news. That's great. And I think it's had an impact on the stock of the price. 15 days ago, Finger Motion announced the results of their annual meeting in Vancouver. And I think your intrepid reporter, Ham, flew out for that. I don't know if he went, but it was around the same time. Then a month ago, Finger Motion awarded multiple contracts to deliver vehicles equipped with advanced satellite communication command platform a month ago. And then 2 months ago, they announced their financial results. So this is all very exciting for Finger Motion. We want to hear the fourth quarter numbers, see if we can do some forward thinking. I'm not so concerned. The boo birds will come on here. Oh, Finger, they only made a penny. They only made 2 pennies a share. Or, oh, Finger lost 3 cents a share. And William, I told you, William's a pump and dumper. Whatever. They're paid. They're actually paid to do that. But it'll be the information we get on that contract, multiple contracts to deliver vehicles. That'll be really critical. So that's one thing coming. Potentially, there's a research report coming. I'm a little less. Let me see how I want to say this. I guess I'm a little less sanguine about the price target on that research report. But remember, I'm a retail guy. Ham is an institutional guy, so he always had access to information that I never got. So I would expect that the research report will target $2, something like that initially. Maybe $3, but I don't think it'll go much higher than that. And it could be under 2. It could be $1.80, $2, something like that. But that's not bad news. That's not bad news. It's what's in the report that'll matter. And so those are the things we're looking for Finger. What I'm looking for Finger, because it makes so much sense, is these contracts, multiple contracts have to be funded. And what would be great is if Finger has done a joint venture or has made a partnership with SAIC such that they can bridge their need for cash without issuing a lot of dilutive stock. They can bridge that need for cash to order vehicles, manufacture them, then deliver them before the government sends the money, high margin, to pay for them. They need to get their revenue in motion, so that 90-day lag in payment from when they acquire the assets and fabricate them is self-funding. And if there's news to that effect, I think you could see a much, much higher price in this stock. Much higher. Because then you don't have any risk of the massive dilution in the brains. I already think the management is never going to do that. But in the brains of the Jeff Linds and his criminal sources of capital and the automatic computers that just read headlines and sell, they figure they can get any company that needs money, they can expand the amount of shares out there in the fake markets, and therefore the price comes down. And, do I have to point out that Adina Friedman couldn't give the color of her fingernails this morning about it? She just doesn't care. As long as you get some vaginas on the boards, she's done her job. All right, let's go on. So I'm very excited about finger motion. The stock's trading well. Don't expect it to go straight up. You know, that you can do some, if you have a big position or more than your core position, sell the rips, buy the dips. You can do it. You can do it. And as long as you don't do it with more than, you know, it's up to you. But I wouldn't do it with a large part of my holdings, because I think finger motion can be a $3 stock before you know it, going higher. And that's a nice move. That's 100%. It's an incredible move. All right, let me look at GBUX quickly. I didn't put it, I just forgot it on my chart, but I kind of look at GBUX a little bit like ZJYL and GDC now. GBUX is 251, huge market cap for a company that it talks a good game and it's got some good stories, but that's $250 million market cap. I'm not negative on it, but I would put GBUX, GDC, and ZJYL kind of all in the same grouping of stocks, which I think are going to have a run. But from where and when, I just have no edge on it. And this sell-off in GBUX has been pretty convincing. I would guess it's a time to buy, and I of those three I just gave you, GBUX is the one I would look at because it's the one that's closest to when the shorts got hurt. But anyway, let me go to which are the four I gave you? Oh, let's just quickly do GTII, because I know people want updated information on GTII. It's trading at 15 cents. The market cap is $51 million. The range has been a low of 15 cents and a high of 19 cents. The volume is, less than 5,000 shares. My own view is if you're buying this now, you're playing the role of sucker. But let's read the last handful of news stories. Let me just check if press releases are different. No, this is according to Yahoo. Global Tech Industries returns AI commerce stock to the company treasury. That was 6 months ago, 7 months ago. This is Yahoo. I know there's probably other things we know about. Global Tech Industry Groups announces Luke Rabiri's appointment as Chief Executive Officer. Then Global Tech executes employment agreement with Luke Rabari. And then they provided updates. And anyway, so you know where to find the news stories. I think there's been more recent SEC filings. I just don't want to take the time. GTI, therefore, is trading at $51 million market cap. Finger motion is trading at 80 million. And now let's look at NIXX, Nixie, NIXX. And by the way, market cap's just one point of view. It doesn't mean anything all by its own. But Nixie's trading at 206. The market cap is 31 million. And the news, I'll just read the last 3 or 4 headlines from Yahoo. Nixie expands AI portfolio with purchase of Wizco's Ava, an AI-powered interview coaching platform, 12 days ago. 20 days ago, Nixie provides business update, including contract developments and regulatory, the S1, filing withdrawal. 21 days ago, Nixie announces $10 million share repurchase program. 22 days ago, Nixie outlines strategic growth initiatives and market expansion plans. And then 23 days ago, Nixie's OralLink announces up to 120 million AI-enabled reciprocal telecommunications services agreement with a global technology partner. And there's a couple of stories on that. And then they both offered and withdrew the Bitcoin financing, which I think no need to focus on that. I think that was a bit gimmicky. I'm glad it's gone. So Nixie's at 207. What are we waiting for in Nixie based on those headlines? Well, let's go to the business update press release. We'll use their own words. Projected revenue contribution beginning in March. The company believes, Nixie believes, it will begin generating revenue from the Mixidia contract in March of 2025. What's today's date? You're right, we're in March. Marking a significant step forward in its growth strategy and expansion plans. This is a press release. It's public news. The company anticipates, as it scales operations in this area, that the company can achieve a projected monthly revenue run rate. In other words, it'll be increasing at first, and then you can project it forward. A monthly revenue run rate of $25 million monthly. $25 million monthly, with a bunch of, caveats. They withdrew the S1. Nixie is committed, or should be committed. Well, it's a company. I guess you can't commit a company. Anyway, Nixie is committed to transforming. This is all. When they start writing like this, we don't need a piece of literature. We just need the facts. So they're going to transform markets, and they're going to do it with cutting edge technology, and they're going to use data-driven insights. But they're going to acquire businesses in established industries, etc. Now, you can look it up on Nixie, but they projected that they wanted to become a billion-dollar business over 36 months, and that was about 5 months ago. So my own view, particularly since that behind the scenes, sort of the guy that's actively bringing the deal flow and working with everyone is the same guy that was working Logic. And Logic decided for some reason to bind themselves to just one company. My own opinion, that Logic needed money. The guy came in with a smile, and I think it was the final coup de grace that Aubrey Advisors did. The guy's in Switzerland spending his profits and still smiling. Still somehow this false, misplaced sense of loyalty to a smiling liar. But anyway, I've been told I'm wrong, so let's hope I'm wrong on Logic. But what that means to me is all of the deal flow, 6 or 7 companies that were considering going to Logic might be coming into Nixie, or at least the ones that comply, that conform to Nixie's AI business model. There's deal flow coming. And so what I think Nixie is going to do is accelerate its acquisition program to get to that $1 billion fairly quickly. So what I think you're waiting for is, let me see when their last earnings were. And I'm just using Yahoo because any of you can use a Yahoo. You know where to find it. So a month ago, Nixie expects to complete an undisclosed acquisition by month end. This was 28 days ago. So it's overdue. So in their press release, they say an acquisition is coming. I expect to hear news. I mean, this was 28 days ago. Nixie expects to complete an undisclosed acquisition by month end. Well, month end was February. Now we're in March. It's overdue. So I expect you're going to hear about an acquisition in Nixie. And then I just want to see if we can expect their earnings. Well, let's see if Yahoo just predicts their earnings date. Yahoo does not give an earnings date, best I can tell. Yes, it does. April 14th to April 18th. So earnings are a little ways off. But I just wonder about those March revenues that they already disclosed to you. I'm not an attorney, but if that's material information, I don't think they can wait more than 2 weeks or so before the attorney's going to say, hey, you got to release it. So anyway, maybe we have to wait 3 weeks to get the revenue numbers, but I don't know if the lawyers are going to let it go that long. So anyway, that's Nixie. Let me just take a moment and ask you, if Nixie were to go up 10x, I'm only using that because it's easy arithmetic, the market cap would be 300 million. Is there anything in the story, as you listen to it, that do you think it would be worth 300 million? Well, they announced a share buyback. So to the extent they have cash to buy back shares, that movement from $2 to $20, 10x, might be less than 300 million by that time. That's one thing. But also that kind of revenue, if they got to 25 million forward-looking revenue per month, I have no idea the profitability. I don't know what multiple you give it. And I don't know what they're paying for it. So there's a lot of unknowns. I'm trying to find it, give you the, anyway, my phone's very slow. Anyway, with the data we know right now, if Nixie were to go 10x, the company would be trading at about over 300 million market cap. If GTII were to 10x right now, it would be 500 million to 600 million. Now that can be offset with stock coming back to the treasury, obviously. But with the data Yahoo's giving us, for GTII to 10x, you're asking the market cap to go to over $500 million, over $500 million. For finger motion to 10x from here, you're asking the market cap to go to almost $1 billion. Is it justifiable? Yeah, it could. It really could be. It really could be. But it also could be an overreach. I just want you to start thinking about that. 10x finger, 800 million. 10x GTII, 500 million. 10x Nixie, you know, 300 million. 300 million. So let's look at the last one, Railtown. Railtown's 27 cents. It's in the red. Let me look at the going to Yahoo Finance. Well, actually, the Yahoo Finance is showing 25.5. So the last news stories, Railtown AI Technologies announces Memorandum of Understanding to acquire AI Partnership Corp. 2 months ago, Railtown AI joins AI Partnerships Corporation affiliate network. 3 months ago, Railtown AI to present at the AI in British Columbia demo night. 3 months ago, Railtown AI accepted into the Advanced Micro Devices Partner Network to accelerate AI-driven innovation. 3 months ago, Railtown AI Technologies announces closing of a non-brokered private placement. 3 months ago, Railtown AI announces a full subscription to 2.1 million. And then 3 months ago, Railtown announces European marketing agreement. 3 months ago, Railtown AI achieves SOC2 Type 2 compliance certification, which my understanding is that's very big. And then we'll stop with 5 months ago. Railtown AI participates in the Developer Productivity Engineering Summit. Well, there's one more 5 months ago. Railtown launches large-scale customer acquisition campaign in preparation to be ready for when they get SOC compliance, which was announced 3 months ago. All right, so that's their announcements. Let me quickly point something out to you. Railtown AI is pleased to announce it has officially joined the AI Partnerships Corporation affiliate network. AI Partnerships Corporation, AIP, is a global network of AI software as a service, I guess model as a service, affiliate companies that foster collaboration between innovative AI companies and enterprises who seek cutting edge, there's that word again, cutting edge artificial intelligence solutions. Through its affiliate network, AIP, which is the AI Partnerships Corporation, connects its forward-thinking affiliate companies, enabling strategic partnerships and expanding market opportunity for these AI innovators. By joining the AIP affiliate network, Railtown AI gains access to a global ecosystem of over 165 affiliate companies, which includes enterprises, technology leaders, partners who are actively seeking and delivering AI-driven solutions to end users. This opportunity will further expose Railtown solutions to an adaptive customer base who are seeking innovative AI products and services. Quote, we are thrilled to join the AIP affiliate network and be part of a collaborative ecosystem driving AI adoption worldwide, said Corey Brandolini. That's his real name, co-founder and CEO of Railtown AI Technologies. Brandolini sounds like a name that Costco would give to a line of computers or televisions. Quote, this invitation reflects Railtown AI's growing leadership in leveraging artificial intelligence to address real-world challenges in software development. Through this partnership, we look forward to expanding our reach and helping more companies accelerate their development processes. And then Tom Call in love, CEO of AI Partnership Corporation, quote, AI Partnership Corporation is proud that Railtown AI Technologies has chosen to join the AIP network. Our network provides 165 worldwide service, AI software as service companies, developmental tools, and application solutions, which are used by over 5,000 of our affiliate clients. And the Railtown platform will assist our affiliates and their clients in the development of their AI-based solutions. The partnership with AIP aligns Railtown It's what a mouthful of words. Anyway, they're gonna sell Conductor, their product, and they're gonna help everybody get really much better. And the story goes on. You can read it. Now, the most recent story with AI, Railtown, the headline said this: Railtown AI Technologies announces memorandum of understanding to acquire AI Partnership Corp. So right away, the computers that the criminals have, their algorithms go search press releases. They see the word memorandum of understanding. The computers don't think, but they know, the programmer knows memorandum of understanding means the deal's not done. Aha, we can short the stock. As the stock goes down, we can interfere with the deal getting done. There's a big profit for us. Adina Friedman, Gary Gensler, Robert Cook, Chuck E. Cheese Cromwell, they don't care. It's wide open for us to do it. We just have to hand off some bakshish to the cops as we do this. So they announced the MOU for the acquisition. And as we just learned, it's an affiliation of over 160 companies. Now they're buying it. They're not just joining it, they're buying it. They operate in 13 companies, same word salad. They help a lot of end users do a lot of great things. And they're going to use Conductor. And here, AIP's established network provides the opportunity for recurring revenue streams through acquisitions of affiliates, acquisitions of the 160 companies, which could be enhanced. That revenue could be enhanced by deploying Railtown AI's proprietary technologies across the affiliate network. All right, you can read more of it, but it talks about they're going to acquire affiliates, they're going to roll them up. It talks about the conductor product. It talks about expanded partnerships, particularly highlighted here are Microsoft, NVIDIA, AMD, and UBC, among others. And then they're planning the integration of these AI-based vertical market applications, along with the development and management tools and services across this entire network, should drive strong recurring revenues growth through long-term enterprise contracts. And then you can read the Brandolini quote and the Core quote, which are both good. And they have an acquisition to facilitate the acquisition. Canaccord Genuity Corp has been engaged as the financial advisor and lead agent. Both companies are working toward finalizing a letter of intent. This came out a month ago, to formalize the acquisition in the coming weeks. So 5 weeks ago, they announced this. When are the coming weeks up? I don't know. I don't know when they're up. It's probably getting close. The acquisition is expected to position the company, this is the new co, Railtown, to capitalize on the rapidly expanding demand for AI solutions in key sectors. The ability to provide enterprise clients with a fully integrated suite of AI tools and services, blah, 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 gives a strong competitive advantage domestically and internationally. The vision is aligned. All right, then we go, and I'll finish up with this. I just want to show you this. Where is it? Might be gone. I might have lost it. Is that it? No, I don't want to show you that again. Maybe it's up here. No. All right, I guess I can't show it to you. Oh, here, maybe that's it. No, that's Nixie. I might have erased it. I didn't mean to. The IR woman at, I'll just find it. The IR woman at, I'll read it to you. I'll show it to you. I must have erased it. I'm sorry about that, but I have it here. The IR woman at Railtown put out this, and I showed it to you before, and you can find it on Twitter. Her name is Rebecca Kurzweil, and a month ago she wrote, "Exciting news, Railtown AI Technologies announces MOU to acquire AI partnerships." And then she writes, "This includes John Ruffolo and Omer, who are the financial architects of Constellation Software, a $100 billion, billion with a B, software company." And then she writes, "Investors ask, when will Railtown have revenues?" Well, today's news, this is a month ago, 5 weeks ago, today's news is the making of an answer. AI Partnerships has 160 companies in its network already doing $400 million in revenue, already doing $400 million in revenue. So they're acquiring revenue. I've tried to backstop all of this information. Now, if we go back to and just, oh gosh. So slow. If we go back to the market cap, Railtown's market cap right now is $35 million. If you 10x Railtown's market cap, I'm just doing it for simplicity of arithmetic, that's $350 million. So those are the four stocks. And I did this little chart to show you. To 10x NIXX, it's 300 million. To 10x Finger, it's 850 million. To 10x GTII, it's 500 million. To 10x Railtown, it's 350 million. Now, let's put it in numbers that matter to us. 10 times $2 is $20. 10 times $1.48 is $15. 10 times 15 cents is $1.50. 10 times 26 cents is $2.60 a share. I'll leave it to you to figure out which one is more likely, whether or not you should just use 5x instead of 10x or whatever. I'm going to call Ham because he called me about 4 minutes ago. But I'd like to point out here, in my opinion, the timing, the way the stocks are trading, I think NIXX has the most immediacy because of how it's trading. Finger's trading extremely well, so it might be that there's not much more time to buy Finger under its offering price of $1.50. But my suspicion with Finger is that you can buy the dips, sell the rips a little bit over the next week or two with Finger. Nixie, I don't know how much more time. We just went through that press release, and they're well overdue to announce their acquisition based on their own statement that they expected to close the deal by the end of the month. GTII, I'm not going to comment. I know you guys think things are going to go very quickly, and you think that now's the best time. Never seen a better time to buy GTII. I caution, I think you got plenty of time in that. I mean, I'm talking months, but whatever. We'll find out. And then Railtown is very similar to Nixie. Their own press releases of 5 weeks ago are saying they're going to announce the completion of that acquisition, which has revenues. To quote them, they said in the coming weeks. Well, weeks obviously can be 2 weeks. It can be many, many more than that. But I would imagine that all the big shareholders are behind it. The final thing I would note to you on Railtown is that Canaccord is in an investment banking quiet period. They cannot buy the stock. Their client, they can't recommend it to clients. Their mutual funds, their in-house funds can't buy the stock. Any retirement plans they have can't buy the stock. They're in a quiet period or a blackout on those shares because they're the underwriter of whatever offering is coming. That's one risk. We don't know what the offering is. Is it going to be a toxic deal, a good deal? My guess is it'll not be toxic. The other thing is those guys that did Constellation Software, Brandolini, his team, everybody on the inside with money at Railtown, they're precluded from, they can't buy anything. And then the 160 companies, to those investors and companies, to the extent they're involved in this, which is probably all the good ones, they can't buy anything. So Railtown, I know it's annoying. I'm sure it's with lawyers. You can't do anything with the bureaucrats. You can't pressure them. You can't make them hurry up. It's probably with auditors. I don't know. Might be with investment bankers, but I think investment bankers, you can probably get them to move quickly. But the computers started selling when they saw the headlines, and I'm sure there's day traders in there. I mean, these guys can sell stock they don't own at, making it up, at 40 cents, cover at 25 cents. They make 15 cents a share. Pick the number of shares, 10,000, 100,000. They make $1,500. Doesn't sound like much, but they do it in stock after stock, or they do it with 100,000 shares. They make 15 grand. It's all out of thin air, and no one cares. But that'll come to a stop. That'll come to a stop. In my opinion, if I'm right, if it's good news, all of those people who can't buy right now, that's pent-up demand to buy the stock. We'll find out. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me see if I can get Ham on the line. Turn this so you can hear it. He called me 13 minutes ago. All right. We'll let him call back. All right, NIXX. The squeeze trigger set at 256 maximum. They have shorted it down with 2.4 million shares. This is an easy read and a huge opportunity, in my opinion. Lion of the jungle. Yeah, I agree with you. Here's a guy. This is a guy that's been around a long time. He cares about you. He wants you to know they're killing GBUX. Well, I don't think that's true. It's down 40 cents. Is that killing? I don't know. I would buy GBUX if I had money. I don't, but I would buy more GBUX at 251. It's down 60 cents. It's not a big deal. It's back to where it broke out. And the shorts are still in trouble, obviously, with a guy like this coming on. The day traders are still trying to help the shorts out. We'll see what happens. Ham did a call earlier. Yeah, that's good. So we don't need Ham to come on, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know he did a call. I wasn't alerted to it. Chris says NIXX, they're going to start the repurchase program in March with the first $1 million. Well, that says a lot. A million, how many shares would a million buy? 500,000? It's pretty good, and particularly if they retire those shares. That's good. That's very good. I'm going to go to the, I don't know why I lose comments. I lost if I'm ignoring your comment, I lost a ton of comments. So sorry. Where is the, I don't know why. I've got to get a better service. I guess when I go over to bring up a picture, I don't know why. Where's that $12 price coming from? I don't know. It says somebody sent it to me this morning. Let me read what it says. Finger, based on what was heard at the conference yesterday, the research report will be out next week. The target price is rumored to be $12. I remember years ago, many, many years ago, when Bank of America was trading around $4 or $5 a share or something like that. And I had research on it from around the street. But to my memory, I could be wrong. The analyst at Smith Barney was saying, used the name BAC and said, buy all you can, buy all you can. That was the headline. I'm talking 30 years ago, and it was like $5, $4, $5, $6. And when he wrote the report, I wonder if I still have, I've lost it. I'm sure I threw it away by now. But I think he said aggressive buy, speculative buy, whatever, overweight buy, whatever their, which was great. That was great. But I think his target wasn't more than maybe $10 or $15. It might have been as high as $20. Obviously, the stock went on to perform brilliantly and went, it split adjusted. I'm sure it went into the hundreds of dollars. But my point is, and that was a different time where analysts got ranked on the institutional and they had a ranking system. So analysts didn't get too far out ahead of their numbers, and they loved to be in a stock that they could upgrade their research report. So my opinion is that a research report is much more likely to come out in, if you want to be doomish, it'll come out at $1.50, $1.60 target. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But it might come out at $1.80, $2, $2.25, $2.50, which is a huge move. We're so spoiled. We're expecting, but analysts are a much more conservative bunch. So If Finger, to me, Finger has a couple of things that an analyst could improve upon. One is our information. One is that contract. Two is I assume that, Bill, you have to face it. I think Finger needs more money. So I don't know that that would be the subject of a research report, but it's pretty clear Canaccord would be the facilitator of a financing. So that news we have to digest. I believe that the most obvious thing in the world is that SAIC agrees a deal with Finger Motion such that either they don't charge upfront money, they carry the costs of the vehicles until the cycle rolls a few 90-day times, or they give their credit backing to Finger just so they can borrow money, or they invest money in Finger. Why? Because you've got to go from 2 vehicles last quarter to, I don't know how many from December, 20 vehicles. And then they have multiple contracts. Maybe they go to 200 vehicles. I'm making those numbers up. I have no idea. But if they don't fund them, they're going to lose the exclusivity, I would imagine. If they do fund them with equity, they're going to destroy the cap table. So, and I don't think they're going to do that. They will not let that happen. So a creative solution to me would be that SAIC doesn't charge for the vehicles up front, and they negotiate with the labor. I mean, they got to pay the labor, obviously. Or SAIC gives money, and maybe they get back a stake or something like that. Or SAIC guarantees a loan or gives a loan, or say anyway, joint venture of some kind. Because what Finger Motion has to do is get up to the point where they're, whatever the number is, let's say it's 200 a quarter. They're producing 200 vehicles a quarter. They have to ramp it up to that. So in the next 90 days, they get paid. They can order vehicles then and work on it in the further 90 days. It'll take 90 days. So it'll be 6 months till they get paid on those. So they have to have a set, I would guess, at least 3 of those cycles going every year in order to be able to run it 4 times, because the money, there'll be enough money. And if their only source of capital is by selling equity, it's going to be dilutive. And that's what happened to MULN. That's what happened to other companies. And that's what Jeff Lynn's clients are counting on. But I don't think they're going to let that happen here at all. At all. I think the guys behind this know exactly how criminal Lynn Partners is. And, they hide behind the fig leaf of their attorneys. And the Kramers just got off again. The SEC sanctions, files with them. I predicted, I read it out to you 2 years ago. I said, oh, they'll get off. They got off. So the whoever is initially trained this idiot day trader, he's a day trader of Yahoo, Jeffrey Lind, whoever trained him, maybe it was Stevie Cohen, maybe it was the guy up in Toronto, the Anson funds, who knows? But they showed him how to do it. They have lawyers behind it. They have the documents. So anyway, Jeff Lind has convinced himself that he's an honest man. He's not doing it. But of course he is. Of course he is. And the unique thing here with Finger is they're aware of it. They're never going to get into that situation again. The obvious thing that might be included in a research report would be a discussion of that joint venture, but I haven't heard a word of it. It's my own thinking. And there's one other gentleman. So I don't think $12 is a realistic target on a research report. But, you know, Ham flew out there. I don't think analysts talk to anybody before they publish their report, but maybe they talk to some of the investors that are close to it. Maybe they talk to a group of people at Roth Capital that have an early preview. I mean, that happens. You know, you have institutional brokers, retail brokers, and one of the advantages of working at a firm like Canaccord is once the research report is ready to go, they might release a research note to all brokers that's confidential. You can't share it to the world, but you can use it as a basis to speak to your clients. And that might have happened. So I would say that Ham's information is much better than mine. But going with what my experience is, I wouldn't expect the research report to come out much more than 50%, 60, 70, 100% up from where it's trading. But that's not negative. That's huge. And if it's a buy or you know, an aggressive buy, that's big. And then as it goes up, they'll re-rate it and reprice it. It's fine. It's fine. It's not bad. But you got to look at what they say. If they say market neutral or if they say hold, those aren't good. Those aren't good research. We just don't know. We just don't know. All right, here we go. I don't know who PCB Reynolds is. I'll just address this as quickly as I can. Keep in mind you're getting advice from someone who thought NextBridge was sitting on huge oil reserves. Even said if you didn't get NextBridge, you won't likely be paid. Now NextBridge are likely to get nothing. Okay, there's a lot of statements there that are inaccurate. You don't have to take my advice. Ham apparently had a call earlier. You can listen to him. I didn't know about it. Otherwise, I would have coordinated with him. We could have done it together. You're getting advice. It's not financial advice, and I've made that clear over and over again. I cannot give any of you financial advice, mainly because I don't know your financial situation. So all I can do is discuss what I think, give you the broad strokes. And if you need financial advice, you got to talk to someone who knows your financial situation and you pay to give that advice. So I don't give you advice. I give you, I don't know, opinion, entertainment, maybe insights, but it's not advice. I never said this sentence as it is. Who thought NextBridge Hydrocarbons was sitting on huge oil reserves? I never said it that way. So let me say it the way I feel about it. I was introduced to Torchlight a decade ago by an investment banker who worked at Exxon. He went to Stanford University, don't you know? And he's a friend of mine, but I'm older than I am. He died, rest in peace. Very well connected, and worked at some of the smaller investment banks. And he introduced me to Torchlight, some of the members of the board. I did several road trips, I would call them, down there, flights. I visited with geologists, and I got to know John Berta. I still, to this date, I've never met John Berta, but I spoke to him many times. We exchanged emails. I had some of my investors buy Torchlight in the open market. And I talked to my contacts in the oil and gas business. So that started 10 years ago. I, at that time, believed, and still believe, that Rich Masterson, who's the geologist for Torchlight, for MMTLP, and now NextBridge, he's not the only one, but he's the guy that came up with the theory. Just, I'm being simplistic here, but he came up with the theory of the Delaware Basin. Was he first? I don't know, but he came up with the theory of hydrocarbons to yet be recovered in the Delaware Basin. And he was successful with that. So he took that knowledge and came over to the Oro Grande Basin. And it was Rich Masterson's thesis that Torchlight was first able to raise money and to develop the initial science they had on and lease up 134,000 contiguous acres in the counties are escaping my brain, but it's in the Permian, and if it's successful, it will be, I assume, called the Oro Grande instead of the Delaware Basin. And what I learned is at that time there was a ton of Permian still to go. There was a ton of Eagle Ford still to go. There was what they called the Georgetown, the Buddha. There was all this to go, and there was a huge allocation of cheap money to developing the Permian, and there was cheap money. It was cheap money. It was helicopter Ben and et cetera. So this money was chasing horizontal drilling, fracking, all that. A bunch of imitators. What's interesting, technology and other improvements have actually made the tier 1 assets and even some of the tier 2 assets that get upgraded profitable, even with higher cost of money. So it's interesting how innovative the oil industry is. But anyway, the other change that happened with the Permian is the head of the Texas Railroad Commission, the single most powerful person in Texas, one can argue, the second most powerful being the lieutenant governor, and the third most powerful being the governor, which is where George W. Bush launched his presidential campaign. they decided to allow the production of all zones. It used to be that if you drilled vertically, or if you drilled vertically with horizontals, you had to drain a zone at a time. They changed it, and they allowed companies to produce from all zones in the Eagle Ford and around. And I think that basically extended to Texas. Well, this ramped up production. It was just putting more straws in the ground. It didn't discover any new oil. And then COVID came. And COVID drove oil prices because the tanks at Cushing overflew. They were full up. There was no more capacity, and oil actually went negative, because when you have oil to sell and nowhere to store it, who wants it? So oil went negative. That was very difficult on Torchlight. But what was really difficult were these guys that PCB Reynolds works with. They did toxic financing and shorted Torchlight. And you know the whole story. They sold a lot of counterfeit shares in Torchlight. Berta decided to take that asset. No one was interested in oil and gas. He took the shell, essentially. I mean, they had an asset, so it's not technically called a shell, but he offered that to MMAT. And then the guys PCP Reynolds works with shorted the hell out of MMAT, but they got caught in this fixed private asset called, well, it was called MMTLP, but it converts into NextBridge hydrocarbons. So what PCB Reynolds did is his buddies, they went out and fraudulently created a trading marketplace for MMTLP. And we're living with their acts to this day. Now what PCP Reynolds and his buddies are doing is they have threatened the health and the lives of the bureaucrats who run university lands. They have threatened the health and the lives of people who work at NextBridge. So let me just finish on what I heard about Oro Grande. And it wasn't just me. There's research reports. Oro Grande was projected to have 5 to 7 billion barrels of oil in it, recoverable. However you think oil's created in the earth, the basic theory is oil back when there was a sea, during the Permian times, the biomass, the animals, the trees, the crud that collected in these shallow seas decomposed over time, and then they got covered over, and the heat and the weight created oil. It's more complicated than that, but the oil was created 40 million years ago, 40 million years ago. So what PCB Reynolds did illegally as a bully and a criminal with his buddies 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, this year, has nothing to do with the oil that was created in the Oro Grande 40 million years ago. All they've been able to do with the acquiescence of Congress, Goldman Sachs, the SEC, Adena Friedman, they have been able to destroy a company for their own benefit. They stole the entire market cap without paying taxes, and most of that money's probably offshore. Many of the shares might be moved out, but they haven't closed out that position. So they're still exposed to some of that risk. And NextBridge, they're trapped. NextBridge has not done a reverse merger. So the monies that PCP Reynolds has sitting, or his buddies, has sitting at prime brokers they can't get to right now. So they're still in here, and they hire people on Twitter, and he's here. Everything he's written is not true, but he's here for some reason. I guess he's in the middle of day trading, and I'm sick of it, by the way. I make no money doing this. Every now and then I get a check from Amazon for $100 or $500. Not Amazon, whatever this is, YouTube. So, you know, I really would rather be doing something else. I don't ever want to deal with a bully, an asshole like PCB Reynolds. But here, being live, I have to. This is not a good person. He thinks he's special, and he doesn't have to follow the same rules as we, the great unwashed. But I think we all should follow the same rules. So anyway, I think research analysts, wealthy investors, oil men and women, geologists, investment bankers, all believed that the Oro Grande could be 5 billion barrels. Now, they didn't have infrastructure. And one guy that I trust said, you know, we've always known there's something there, but there's no infrastructure. There's no pipelines. There's no roads. So there was a lot of work to get done. Whilst the Permian was where all the talent went to the Permian, when they could put a lot of straws in there and get rich. But the Oro Grande moved forward apace. But PCB Reynolds and his buddies destroyed Torchlight. Then they destroyed MMAT, and then they destroyed MMTLP, but they got trapped. None of that condemns, or to be fair, really proves, but none of that condemns whether or not there's oil under the Oro Grande at NextBridge Hydrocarbons. None of it. It just shows that he interfered criminally as a racketeer in the affairs of a company and its shareholders. So that's all it was. Now, I do think it's possible that NextBridge is sitting, or was sitting on, really large oil reserves, really large, 134,000 acres. I mean, it could be astonishing. They apparently found 7 reservoirs. They had a data room that people had access to. It's not like you're going into a sea of oil, you're going into rock, but it was very exciting. They produced shallow, so they did have oil in the shallow zones, and that's just part of their acreage. So that's proven. All they'd have to do was expand, but they ran into financing issues because of PCB Reynolds interference, his buddies. the interference from his friends. So then what has happened since is the university lands, under the threat of bodily harm and death, withdrew the renewal of the leases. So it's quite possible that this bully is correct, that NextBridge now may lose its acreage. Well, then that means NextBridge is no longer sitting on prospective oil and gas reserves because they don't have the leases anymore. But that's only because this guy's friends interfered criminally in that process. So is that a tautology? I don't know. But that sentence, that now they're getting nothing, but it's because my advice was wrong, that's just, I could never have predicted that Congress, the SEC, the FBI, police, brokerage firms would be so indifferent that they would allow a small cadre of criminals who PCB obviously is associated with, who are trapped, to go to the extreme of threatening bureaucrats such that they're afraid. And then, of course, they cause the lawsuits. And the SEC, as ever, goes after the CEOs instead of after PCB Reynolds' friends. So NextBridge is fighting it, but it's quite likely that it's going to be a long battle, and the result could be that NextBridge has nothing at the end of the day to show for its Oro Grande investments. That is a possibility. I personally think that they should be able to put some of it back together or all of it, but it's going to be expensive, and there's no assurance of success. But that doesn't mean the oil's not there. It just means these criminals, this set of criminals, was able to knock them out of the box because these criminals are short those securities. They're not short the oil in the Oro Grande if it's recoverable. It looks like it is. They drilled wells. They drilled deep wells, and all the feedback is that it's recoverable, but you don't know. You don't know how much of it. You got to drill to prove up the ability to produce huge oil reserves. You got to drill a lot of wells. You probably have to drill 100, 500 wells before you know more. It takes money, and that what PCB Reynolds is good at is stealing all of that money for himself and his friends, so it doesn't go in the ground. Now NextBridge holders are likely to get nothing. It's a possibility. NextBridge could lose its lawsuits. Shareholders might stop funding the company. They could lose the leases. It's all possible. But those are new, tortuous, those results come from tortuous interference in the process. And they were not known before, but they have had their effect. I have a feeling, though, that over time and with a bull market in oil and gas, NextBridge is going to prevail. But there's no certainty to that. There's no certainty. Now, the latest interference is that NextBridge has built a portfolio which will now be with other people's money in the highly prospective, high upside, historic Southern Louisiana historic oil leases, some name like that. You can look it up. Any one of these wells could be a company maker. And I'm not talking $1 a share. I'm talking big, big numbers. And so what PCB Reynolds wants now more than anything is, and his buddies, is for NextBridge to not be able to fund those wells. So they're pulling out all the stops. It might work. I mean, this criminal activity goes on because it works, but it doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's moral. But there's a prospectus published for NextBridge from Roth Capital to raise $40 million or more, 40 million shares. But if it's at $1, it's 40 million. If it's at $5, it's 200 million or more. That's delayed because of the work of PCB Reynolds and his friends. But I don't think that'll be delayed forever. And I also believe it'll get funded. NextBridge, so there's a breakdown there. This guy's saying, he's implying NextBridge is not sitting on huge oil reserves, which is just a childish statement, showing he knows nothing about the oil and gas industry. But he's obviously talking about the Oro Grande. He knows nothing about the magnitude of South Louisiana, the potential. So if NextBridge does raise money, they maybe can fund both of these and rescue both of these. But maybe Oro Grande is gone. But maybe the Southern Louisiana, where the Texas Lands Group isn't, and leaseholders can't be threatened, maybe that then gets drilled. So then NextBridge could be sitting on reserves of natural gas, not oil or some oil, but natural gas primarily. Now let's address this last two sentences. He says, I said that if you didn't get NextBridge, you won't likely be paid. Terrible English. But that is my belief, but it's half a sentence, or even a third of a sentence. If you don't own NextBridge, you're not going to get paid for the results of Southern Louisiana. Also, if NextBridge moves forward with its projects, including Oro Grande, and pays out, gives dividends, whatever, in the future, it's not obvious now, you won't be paid if you don't have NextBridge shares. I made that point. So those are two permutations of that statement. I think if the Oro Grande is sold or somehow monetized outside of a court system or a regulatory environment, you're only going to get that money if you own NextBridge. You're not going to get it if you own MMTLP. So those are three things I've said. Now, he's sloppily alluding to a settlement. Well, what is a settlement? You're going to have guys like PCB Reynolds backers paying lawyers to stop any settlement. They're going to fight every step of the way. 105 broker-dealers. They're going to interfere every step of the way. They're going to try to step in and settle before there's disclosure every step of the way. So what he's implying is the only way you're going to get part of that settlement is if you own this worthless thing called MMTLP. And you're not going to get that settlement at NextBridge. So his argument is, my friends have put NextBridge in the box, so it's worthless, potentially. MMTLP is worthless. But his conclusion is, if there's a settlement and he'll lie down, his friends will lie down and let it happen, you'll get money at MMTLP, but you won't at NextBridge. I think that is completely specious. Completely specious. The harm was done to everybody involved. If, in fact, there's a settlement, it'll be to everybody involved. You are not lessening, in my point or view, your ability to recover his criminal activity, fraud, racketeering, FINRA malfeasance, your broker-dealers. You're not losing that potential, class action suits, by owning NextBridge. But you know what's funny? Because of these guys' action, even with the Oro Grande now, even with the Oro Grande, if Greg is able to get the Oro Grande back into NextBridge, and if I were he, I'd almost start a new company. But he's an honest man. If he were to get it back, this guy here, this jerk, will argue, his friends will argue, oh, well, Your Honor, it doesn't matter what the Oro Grande's worth now. It doesn't matter there's oil now. NextBridge didn't find it in the first 900 days, so we don't owe these people anything, because it's new money that came in and new agreements, new lawyers, new lawyering anyway, to get the Oro Grande back. So, look, I don't care if you take any of my advice. I really don't care. Listen to this guy, PCB Reynolds, good man. He's here to help you. He is. And he's part of a crew that will share emails, giggling with each other. Hey, we had some fun at the expense of retail today. Go with them. Go with them. Go with them. I still stand by, you're in a better position owning NextBridge than you are owning a worthless piece of crap called MMTLP. But hey, follow this guy, stretch it out longer, get more time going on, and I hope you're right if you do follow him. You don't know his name, and he won't be there when it's all over with. He and his friends believe that they have a special covenant that allows them to steal from you. And if you want to go along with it, go along with it. ZJYL has a real business. That's cool. I didn't know that. And they also have an interesting stock split. GDC has no business. Yeah, but they're both short squeezes, but yeah. You should see the big buyer on ZJYL 5 minutes before the closing. He is there and moves the price up 11 days in a row. Well, there you go. So maybe if you're still in ZJYL, you might get a trade, and based on that trading activity, I would buy the stock as a gamble, to see it. So PCB Reynolds is glad that he hung on to something that expired December 13th, was erased by FINRA December 14th, has no assets, has no management, has no symbol, has absolutely no value whatsoever. He's glad he held it at his brokerage. He's lying to you. He's lying to you. But if you want to hear it, listen to him, listen to him. MULN market cap is 1.4 million. Even after the last sell-off, good Lord. Yeah, Ham already had his call. I'll try him again before I sign it off. Yeah, I like Leonard. I don't know which stock he's referring to. Retail continues to load up, buying this dip, massive short squeeze. On two or three of these stocks, that applies to 4 of these stocks, so it's good. I'll call him as I get to the bottom of these. I did call him. He didn't pick up. Is it true they are passing an act in the government to pay people? No. I haven't heard of nothing to that effect. So you answer your own question. Do you think Donald Trump wants the death of the dollar? He's going to buy Greenland with the dollar. Why would he want the death of the dollar? I did call him. I'll tell him. Let me get to the bottom of these. How about the finger warrants? Yeah, that's still going on. I guess we need to discuss it each time to make sure it's happening. But Finger Motion a year ago authorized the issuance of a warrant, which is convertible into 1 share of Finger Motion stock, common stock, for every 10 shares which you own. This needed SEC approval. And so during the summer, the SEC asked questions, and the company responded with alacrity and with information. And at some point toward the end of the summer, Finger Motion's auditor decided they did not want to go do all the trouble to remain or become compliant with the PCOB, whatever the letters are, requirements to audit U.S. companies. So they resigned as auditor of Finger Motion. The SEC understandably held off on approval of the dividend, whilst Finger Motion met their responsibility to provide the SEC a new auditor, and that new auditor was required to do 2 years of auditing. That auditor, I think, was announced in September. It might have been October. Now, the auditor waddles like a turtle, walks like a slug, pours like molasses. Auditors are slow, and they don't care. So as time went by, a pretty logical thought came across finger motions, big investors who were, on the hook. Why don't we do the 2004 audit and the 2005 instead of having to do the 2003 audit again, the 2004 audit again, and the 2005 currently. So the audit, for pretty logical financial reasons, was delayed till the end of Finger Motion's 2025 fiscal year, which ended last month. So now we are waiting for the fourth quarter, April 15th, roughly, and the annual report another 45 days after that, roughly. But we're highly confident that the audit has been completed. So somewhere, probably end of April, beginning of May, maybe later June, it is likely that the SEC will have seen the financial numbers for reported numbers for 2025, fourth quarter, and the annual report, have the audit, and can approve the dividend. Asking about it, worrying about it, thinking there's a conspiracy isn't going to change the timeline. I said to choruses of that I'm being negative. I said last quarter and last month and the month before and the month before that I thought the dividend would be delayed until May, approximately. I still think that's the case. Maybe we get it sooner. Could be June, late April, May, early June. It's not going to change regardless of how many times you ask about it. It's not going to change regardless of how many times Martin Shen has to answer questions about it. It's not going to change for anything. The time that bureaucrats need at the SEC to put together the public filing of the fourth quarter, which is expected April 15th for the fourth quarter, and the public filing of the annual report, which is expected, although it could be sooner, June 1. And nothing that we do is going to slow down or speed up the filing of the audited numbers with the SEC. Nothing we do is going to speed up the SEC's approval of the dividend. But it's out there and it's coming. And it's going to take 10 days from, just so you know, the record date will be 10 days after or longer after the approval is issued by the SEC and announced. It's called full disclosure. So, I'll give you time. You just hold. You hold on. I'll give you time so you can get away. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Is Ham sick of or backing off from talking on the stream? I don't know, Jack. Why don't you ask him? When he comes, we'll ask him. Hey, Southern Comfort. Send in the clowns. Yeah, and they're not going to get away from the MMTLP Army. I talked to someone, I'm not going to use their name, who's extraordinarily optimistic on what the lawyers are finding, specifically regarding FINRA breaking FINRA's own rules. And then, FINRA traded the stock. So there's a lot of optimism on what can happen for payouts, criminal, because of criminal actions. In my judgment, that'll go to everybody. It'll be a settlement, and the big whales are not going to settle for just part of the audience. It's going to be for everybody. PCAOB, yeah, PCAOB. Would the date of record change for when shares are held for the dividend? No, the date of record for the dividend is 10 days. They have to give notice to the general public for 10 days before the record date. So they could do it, if the SEC approved it in the morning, they could announce it that night. I bet it'll be a couple of days before the lawyers prepare a press release. Lawyers take their time as well, because that's how they get paid. They back up a bunch of clients, so their food's always on their table. But let's say the SEC approves it June 1, and the lawyers take time and they announce it June 5. It's going to be June 15th, assuming those are trading days, for the record date getting the dividend. The record date will be 10 regular days after Finger Motion announces the dividend. We announce that we have received approval, and the record date is 10 days from now. How about a tape stream? Metals oil economy. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. When I start to sing, I'm terrible at singing, but the problem is, if I show any more music, they're gonna give me a second. I'm not sure I have a strike, but I have a warning. So. Well, I could get Curtis is welcome to come here. Junk Savvy is the best, and her calls are great. And I do sit in, not recently, and if in the middle of when I'm on it, I get a call, I'm usually gone. That's possible. I like your optimism. All right, CC, 10 pounds. £10 sounds exciting. Where's my, oh, here it is, £10. So it's 16 ounces times 10. So you have 16. You have 16 ounces times 10. You have 160 ounces at, I don't know what you paid, but I think 100 ounces is all you need to meaningfully change your ability to survive what's coming. But if you can afford 500 or 600, that would be pretty good too. Here's what's going to happen with silver. If you have 160, look, I'm making a projection. I could be wrong, but I think silver is going to go to $90, $120, $100 soon, right now. Tomorrow or September, but in essence, now. It could overshoot that. But maybe you sell 60 of your ounces at 100 or 90 and then buy. I think there's going to be a correction in the stock market, whether it starts in the third quarter, October, or maybe first part of next year. But I think there is going to be first a massive rally that gets everybody excited in everything. And then there's going to be a just soul searching, a death defying correction worldwide. And silver could pull back. In that case, silver could pull back all the way to $45 an ounce. And then, so you could trade some and buy back. I think whatever number, all right, here comes Ham. Hello.
Are you live, William?
I am.
I'll go as long as my voice holds out. It gives out after a while.
All right. You're on.
All right. I'm standing outside with the dog. So what's Finger Motion trading at? I have no idea.
It was an $83 million market cap. That's all I remember. Let me look. It was $1.50, but let me see.
Yeah, no problem. I was just curious. I just pitched some guys from Silicon Valley, and
it's $1.51. I don't know if that's delayed, but $1.51.
I just let you know I was on the phone with the guy. He just called me up through a friend. While I was on the phone with him, he bought 15,000. He's going to go to 100. I'm just saying that's how easy it is when people understand the story.
Just to interrupt you quickly, one thing I think happens, which is weird, even with institutional guys, when stocks start going up, they buy. But anyway, right. I'll leave you alone.
I've always been a believer in buying and not doing anything, but people do things differently. But there's some real smart guys buying the stock. This is coming to an end. Trump is going to do something. We're hearing, William, I didn't tell you that we're hearing the 27th when Atkins gets in. Trump is going to smack these guys around. I've heard twice so far, and I believe in it because it doesn't make any sense. We're going to put the truck out there on the second day that Atkins, after he gets in. And we're going to put up with the sign, basically, if the SEC is not going to file charges against these guys, then we're going to do it. That's it. I mean, that means we're going to say something like, hey, if you're not going to stop it, if you can't beat them, we might as well join them. Let us steal also. Fuck it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I could do this. I can attack GBUX and sell shares at the market all day, every day, trying to get people to panic out. Now, people don't know this, but, you know, I passed a lawyer on to the company, and I heard the company has now confronted the market maker and the short seller called Black Tower out of the Caymans. And they're beginning the legal process about suing these guys for security fraud, spoofing, and washing. And that's going to go into effect. We'll see. I guess we'll see a press release on that soon. I heard that that's going into effect. You know, these guys just keep companies can't operate this fast. You can't build a business when you're under attack like this every day. I told you before, people buy stock and then they go back to work. These guys just hit the sell button all day. It's not like William can sit there all day and say, hey, someone's selling another 3,000. Let me go buy it. Oh, wait, there's another 3,000. People go to work. People leave. That's not investing. This is complete fraud, security fraud. Complete.
Yep.
So, I mean, these things will turn. And I just put it up, William. Netflix was down yesterday. Okay. Buying the dip. Selling the rip. Today it's up 30. All right. Root was down. Today made a new high, 156. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Root was $7. Who's chasing it at 156? The only person chasing that stock at 156 is a naked short seller trying to cover. There's no one in the world to be chasing that company at $156. That's a short trying to cover. It was 156. So for those who say shorts never cover, just go look at Root. I report it every day to William. I'd say that to you. I brought it up 20 times. Easy, 20, 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's showtime. The attack at GBUX is desperation. I think it's going to turn. You know, I have friends that have been buying it. It's going to turn. And when the company comes out and addresses it and does what they have to do, I expect the stock to scream. You know, we started out, it was 1 million shares at $1, but it was 1.2 million short. Now we're up to I'll say almost 2.4 soon. Right? The story got stronger and the short got bigger and they're trying to push it lower. What I tell you before, the only reason they're pushing it lower, and everybody clean your ears on this one, is because of margin. They can't afford these trades. They were probably free riding like Alpine did in GTII. Now you sit there, wow, we're the regulators. You know what? There's no one watching this whole thing. It's a disgrace. The U.S. equity markets is completely broken. All right? Our job is to fight back, expose these criminals, and squeeze them. It's not our job, but this is how we're going to get rich off of these guys. And once we're done here, we're going to rally the troops and go slaughter them one at a time. And they know that. And that's what we're going to do. And I don't give a shit who's listening. Because once we kill them here, we take our resume and pick another one. We'll go save a cancer company. You know, I can go save that company's CELU, that poor guy. He's the neurosurgeon, a traumatic brain injury doctor. They raped him and did him and just destroyed him. I told you about KNW, Lynn Partners. Naked shorted it, crushed it to 2 cents. They reversed it, William, and they knocked it back down again. Like the car wash. I told you, repeat, rinse, they just keep doing it. GMGI will be the next one, straight down, and they'll reverse it, kill it. Yet Lynn Partners is up 220%. I can't wait to sit down with a Cash Patel and say, how's these guys up 220%? Every investment getting wiped out. How is that possible? Complete fraud.
Well, it's like the redhead said, Patrick Byrne. They try to steal the entire market cap. Look at MULN. That's what they do.
That company has made people. I told you, I met a guy made $400 million naked shorting that stock.
400 million? Whew.
400 million. Don't worry, I got him back for us.
Don't worry, I stole 400 sweet and lows.
I got him. I got him to buy a couple of million shares of Finger Motion. He wasn't getting away. Once you told me you had money like that, I got him to buy the stock. You know, we're at 250 million short means we have a lot of longs, and that's one big player, and his friends all bought the stock. So him and his group is probably good for 10 million.
What do you think's going on with GBUX, which is down today?
They basically their trial, their phase 2 trial for cancer treatment, it failed, I guess. Oh, wait a second, they don't do that. It's on ASCM and the short from the Cayman Islands, Black Tower, are selling stock because they're going to get served with lawsuits and discovery. And their way to get out of it is try to hurry up and knock it down to get people to sell so they can cover and get flat. That's what's going on with GBUX. And if you look at it, Finger Motion had the same pattern of attacks going back in time when Lynn was here. Lynn came in, the stock was around 4 or 5. They drove it down to 60 cents before it squeezed to 10. That's going back in history. GBUX is in the second inning of the game. Finger Motion is the bottom of the ninth. Very different.
Yeah.
Finger Motion is ready to explode. Me and William used it. That was your line, William. We both said the same thing. The downside in Finger is up. Why? Because someone paid $1.50. All right, so someone put $5 million in at $1.50. No one on this phone put in $5 million at $1.50. Don't get me wrong. I know you put in good money. I'm not saying you haven't. But that's a lot of money. And the people that put the money in sat down with the company, know what's going on at the company. Roth Capital is having their conference. We all know that. We see what's going on there. I had a friend that had a money manager sit down with Martin. Very impressed. Is a buyer of the stock. We know the fund out of Singapore is a buyer of the stock and actually owned 1.5 million. If you go on Twitter, I posted a little tidbit about how we know about it. It's right there. I put it up there for you. Go read. I think I put it up this morning. I blocked out some of the names, but you can see the people that are in the know saying that they've been buying it. The name of the fund, it's right there. So just do your homework. It's all right there. Any other questions, William?
How can they drop GBUX with just 30,000 shares?
Well, this is not exactly a major trader. It went up on 20s and 30s. Listen, they're just selling. You just look at time and sales. Who sells every day? If you go back and look every day around 3:55, they begin the attack every day, the last 10 days. The stock does nothing all day, and in the last minute of the day, they come in and try to knock it down 50 cents every day. My friend was buying 50,000 around 4. He held it up there for a week every day until they finished whacking him, and then he was done, and they attacked it down again. That's what they do. Listen, everybody on this phone could do this. We're actually going to put a sign on the truck in front of the SEC. Like I said, if you can't beat them, let's join them. We want to make a short. I want to do it. What's the difference? No one cares. If there's no crime, why can't we steal? The Kramers have stolen so much money naked shorting, smoking cigars, laughing, Alpine. Everybody's having a party. No one's going to jail. Let me go out and steal. Why? We should all band together, start an LLC. We'll go see a bank. We'll get the market maker exemption, and we'll go destroy a company. Well, it's so easy to do. All we have to do is sit here, get a couple of people, go post some negative stories. The CEO is raping little kids, whatever. They steal drugs, food is no good, whatever they do. We can tell you the stories. No one cares. Look at the Anson Fund. Boy, there was a story, William. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't.
The Anson Fund wanted to buy 10 million shares of their short, I think, of MMTLP.
Yeah.
I mean, they're operating out of Canada. They've gotten busted by everybody. How are they not in jail?
Pakshish.
What was that?
Pakshish. Payoff.
Oh.
Bribes. A little bit of money on the side.
Oh, you know, they listen, they bribe their prime brokers. They bribe their broker friends. Everything. Take my order. I can't sell that. Don't worry about it. I'll give you 20,000. No problem. Sell all you want. Just like the guy from Morgan Stanley, right? He's on Twitter every people put it up there all the time. I naked shorted every day at Morgan Stanley. Why'd he do it? For
well, he had the same pride in his actions like the other assholes do.
Right. They all say the same thing. When I was an institutional broker, I never even heard of taking a stock, shorting a stock. And if I sold it long and the customer's lying to me, it's up to the back office to determine if we ever got delivery. Not my thing. I never got an order say, hey, sell 100,000 for me. I don't own the stock. I'm selling it without delivering. Is that okay? No one ever said that to me. This is like this is like complete. The system has nothing going on. Zero. It's unbelievable. But they're going to win. They stayed too long in the game. You got Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. We got Donald Trump, the most powerful man in the world. And these guys have been abusing Tesla and DJT. And their luck is going to run out.
I have no idea, but apparently the January 15 finger motion
there's a lot of activity in there,
are trading. They're either trading higher activity or higher price or both. What's going on?
Someone is excuse me. I'm sorry. Someone is trying to hedge a position. They short the stock. They opened a series of options that no one's paying attention to. And they're playing games up there because if the stock runs past 15, they want to make sure that's the most they're going to lose.
Right.
So they're locking in their loss between 15 to 1.5.
Right.
If you don't have any calls or anything against it, you have unlimited liability. But there's not enough.
My guess is, and his name is Steve asking it, but my guess, if I had to guess, and as a Wall Street guy, I always tried to guess, but if you're the option desk and some guy's coming in to hedge with a bunch of calls, his short position, you're probably not going to sell him $1.50 or $2 calls because you're going to be at risk. But you'll sell him all the $15 calls you want because he doesn't believe there's any risk that stock's going to 15.
Listen, I wasn't even paying attention to it, but think about it. You buy stock at $1.50. You can sell the January 15 calls at a dime or 15 cents. That means you are locked in. The most you can make is from $1.50 to $15.
Right.
If the stock got to 15, some people would sit there and say, hey, I'll be thrilled. So what they do is they sell these calls and they're so far away that they just take in the premium and take in the money.
Well, but also if you look at it from the criminal side, they might be in trouble. I don't know. And the prime broker is saying, we're uncomfortable with this. And so the criminal is locking in there are no women, the risk at $15. And it might be the money that's in their account. I don't know. But
listen, the only people who sell those calls are people that are writing a covered call. Somebody like you, William, you got 1 million shares in your book, and you say, hey, Tony, why don't you sell?
But where's that premium coming from?
They're buying them. They're bidding up the premium. They're buying them.
Why? I think anyway.
The short's buying them.
That's my point. The short would be buying them. That's exactly
you're the one that's selling
what
them.
I was trying.
Yeah, and you're taking in the premium.
Yeah.
That's all that's going on.
Yeah.
They're looking, they want people like you to say, hey, you know what? Let me take this premium in. What's the difference? I got to wait 6 months. Big deal. It's free money.
Yeah.
I got 20,000 shares. Sell 200 of them. What do I care?
I wouldn't sell them. It's not enough premium to limit your upside.
I understand. But the reason that they would sell them is not the premium, William. It's that it's so far away.
Yeah. That
the likelihood of your stock being taken at $15, you sit there saying, if you didn't know the story, you sit there and say, hey, you know what?
Yeah, I'd rather
let me sell it.
If you're inclined to take premium, which is not a bad idea, 90% of calls expire worthless. I'd rather sell the shorter months. Just the opposite of ham buying junk calls, which is not a bad strategy when the stock's expected to trade up. But you can also sell those calls short in. Just do it every month. And
listen, you just need to protect yourself and try to make sure that you have the most upside. Right. You want to participate in the upside. Don't trap yourself and say, I sold the $2 calls at a dime and you own stock at $1.50 and, you're going to make 50 cents because when the stock goes through 2, you'll be sick because that's the most you can make is 50 or 60 cents. You got to be careful about that. You don't want to be sitting in a stock. Listen, if you've been around this stock for this long, you know the story. The story hasn't changed a bit. Right. The story's gotten stronger. I just told this money manager, the story's gotten stronger. What do you mean? Data is going down. Top-ups, the company's funded. This, that. They took the bullet already. It's over with.
Yeah.
Getting that money, it's over with now. Now what do you want to do? The shorts what's the shorts going to come out there and say, this fucking guy Ham, he's fucking touting his stock. I'm not touting it. I'm telling everybody exactly what's on the tape and showing them. No, these naked shorts never had anybody confront them. No one's ever says anything about them. ASCM, you guys never heard of ASCM, the market maker? I put their picture up. I showed you how they rob people. The order goes from the Cayman Islands to ASCM. ASCM comes out and says, I'll hammer the stock for you, but you got to pay me. How much you got to pay you a day? I want $300 a day. No problem. What are you doing? I'm naked shorting using your market maker exemption. Okay, great. That's $500 a day. And we'll do it for you. That's what they're doing. That's it. We can all do this.
600,000 volume on finger. Is it Ham's Friends?
Ham and Friends. Yes, it is. Ham and eggs. I just pitched a couple of guys that were buying 30,000. I just told you.
So Steve is buying the August 5 calls rather than the January 15. And I think that if that's your choice, I think you're making the correct choice.
Buy whatever one you like. I like to buy the garbage ones. And people go, the garbage ones can expire. I told you from the start they're garbage. 5-cent options, you can't get closer to zero than 5 cents.
Well, one reason to buy the garbage calls is if you look at it, just making up an example, what's this month? We're in March. If you bought the March whatevers at 5 cents, I bet if you look at the April whatevers, they're at 15 or 20 cents. So if you buy the Marches, they expire worthless. At that Monday, you can buy the Aprils probably at 5 cents. So
I spent a dime instead of 20 cents.
But the difference is Ham looks at it every day. Your life, you get busy, you get going, and a week or two can go by. So
well, listen, I look at it this way. Based on the news that I see on the tape, the Roth Capital Conference, which I didn't know about, that guy Frankie put it up there. Then I know people are at the conference. So everything is coming to a head, and this thing's ready to explode. I told the other day, William, I posted it maybe a day ago. On Monday, I posted, I said the $1.40 wall is going to go down maybe tomorrow. Oh, it didn't go down Monday. It went down Wednesday, excuse me. Not Tuesday, went down Wednesday. The $1.40 was the big breakout point. Well, here's your breakout. For all the people on this call who whine and ask me all the time, when's it going to break out? Well, it just did. What more do you want me to tell you? You got your breakout. You know the shorts here. You know what's going on. You know Trump's getting screwed by this stuff. You know it's coming to a head. Either you believe it or you don't. That's how close we are.
Yeah. I think I just had a thought. I don't want to be negative, but it's been my opinion that Roth Capital did a really shitty investment banking job. They did a good job in other ways, but now with Finger Motion going to Roth Capital's conference, it gives Roth Capital a lot of incentive to perform on the deal they did. In other words, they want that stock up above $1.50. And maybe that's why it's through the wall. But Roth Capital's conference is a big deal. It's a big deal.
Listen, companies, small cap companies are just basically targets for these vultures. Okay? Finger Motion needed to get the money because their business needed to go now. Right?
Yeah. So Steve is pointing out that the August 5 calls are priced the same as the January 15s. This is how I see it. You buy the August 5s. Let's say, I'm making it up. Let's say the stock goes to 10 in September. You doubled your money and you can take some money off the table. If it doubles in September, goes to 10, there's no guarantee the January 15s have done a whole lot. They've lost a lot of time premium.
Listen, they're all the same thing. They're all 10, 15 cents. It's not buying Netflix calls at $20. You're buying options at a nickel and a dime. So get over it already. Yeah. Those are cheap. We call them garbage because they're cheap. They are garbage.
And they have no bid. As soon as you buy them, you can't sell them.
Right. So that's why I say you buy half and bid for half.
When do you think GBUX will turn up and what price could it go to?
I think it's going to go way higher than 10.
How quick? How when?
That's not to me.
What is Mark Maddox having for dinner tonight?
Who?
I don't know. You're making predictions. He says, using your third eye, what am I having for dinner tonight?
I don't know. I'm going to dinner with the shareholder tonight. I think he owns 50,000.
Can the shorts and Finger keep opening new LLCs in the United States and abroad?
Yes, they could do whatever they like. The game's over with. Listen, the scam's over with. If you don't think the scam's over with, then go out there and short everything.
Will they be caught if they originate their trades from outside the country?
No, you can do all the trades you want from outside the country. But as the stock moves up, there's a thing called margin. It's like you, when you don't pay your credit cards, they come after you, right? This is what's going to happen to them. You can't do this when you're broke all day.
Yep.
That's just how it works.
So you think GBUX is in the second inning where Finger is in the bottom of the ninth?
The bottom of the ninth. We got 2 outs, and we got the batter. We got Jeff Easton 0-2, and he's standing there with his finger up his ass. That's where we're at.
So they're going to strike him out. But what about, can they hit a grand slam in the third inning of GBUX?
GBUX.
What's your timing on both of them is the bottom.
I think it's showtime. Finger Motion is now. When Finger Motion goes, I will move my people into GBUX if it's still laying around here.
This says, I'm hoping Ham is wrong and the Roth report comes out before the end of the week.
I think the guy told me next week. That's what he said.
Okay, next week.
Listen, I can't control manipulate stocks to make options go into money or whatever. Okay. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. I bought options at 5 cents and 10 cents. I told you when I bought them, this is what it's about. Is my timing off? This stock can stop right now and gap 10 points in 2 minutes. And that's why I bought these things. When the stock was doing nothing at $1.15, $1.20, I didn't buy it. I told you 2 weeks ago, say, hey, this thing feels like it's ready. And that's why I bought them. And all of a sudden, the stock went to 167 today, out of the blue. They're at the Roth conference. There's funds buying it. It's bubbling and ready to go. If you don't feel it or don't see it, then you have no idea how to trade the equity markets, because it's to me, the lights are flashing. It's like at the Ranger games. They keep scoring goal, the lights go on. That's what it's like. That's what I see. You don't have to offer. You could sell, you could buy, do whatever you like, but that's what I see. We told you at $1, whatever it was, $1, what was it, $1.15, $1.20? The upside in this, the downside in this stock is up. That's what we were saying. That's exactly what we said.
Well, in many ways, we've been saying the same thing for 3 years.
Well, the stock is sideways for 4 months. What can we possibly say if the stock is sideways for 4 months? But, you know, that's why people ask me, can you tell me about GTII? Well, it's not trading, so I can't say anything. Tell me about MMTLP. What can I say? It doesn't trade. What? There's nothing to say. We get on a call. What would you like me to talk about? Do I think Jameis Winston's going to sign with the Giants? I hope so. I'd love to go see him in New York. Do I care about what's going on with the Dodgers in baseball? And March Madness? No, I don't care about any of that stuff. And just remember this, that the warrants that the money managers got who invested at $1.50, if they want to exercise them, they got to pay the company. So the company, I think it's 3 million or 4 million warrants, William? 4 million warrants.
That was 1.5 per share, so.
Whatever it is. So it's 4 million, whatever it is. 4.5, whatever it is. The company will get what? $7.5 million, I think we calculated before. So if someone is here trying to short the stock at $1.51 and exercise the warrant at $1.50, the company has to get paid. And if you want to short the stock, okay, and the stock screams and you're not able to exercise those warrants, you get wiped out. So I don't believe anybody's playing that game. And I'm just hitting up the option page right now. And the put activity between March, April, and May, 0. Not one put is traded. It looks about 2,300 on the call side. So everybody has made their bets on the long side.
No bets on the wrong side.
There's no don't players here. In craps, people have bet the opposite way. They call them don't players. And there's nobody doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing, you know, like we always talk about things racing up and down. You know, if you'd have bought the dip in Netflix, you made $30 today. 30. It was down to 924. Hit 968 today. Buy the dips. Learn how to do it. You know, I'm just showing you a big winner. I'm not showing you Costco's up 8, Goldman's up 6. You know, there's many stocks. Goldman Sachs had a low of 544 today. It hit 563. I told you before, everyone, the naked shorts need volatility. Has the market been volatile, William?
Yes, it's been volatile.
That's because they're trying to cover their positions. All of a sudden, a market that's been so steady, slowly grinding, it's now like insane every day. It's like a hockey game, up 100, down 300, up 500, right?
Yeah.
Everything was terrible 3 days ago. Next day, everything's great. The next day, everything's bad. That's all creations by the short sellers manipulating the markets. And they only do for one reason, William, to get everyone in here to sell. Then they spike it back up, then maybe they short it again. In Netflix, they short it again at 900, whatever it is, 980, whatever it is. But they need people they sold the stock short and they need people to bail out. That's why you see the volatility like that. And I told you, finger motion had zero volatility for months, sideways, sideways, sideways. Now we're standing at $1.50, sideways, 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 right? I told you, I heard the big funds are going to take the stock to 3. Then after that, it's all bets are off. Meaning that it should be explosive by then.
Did you buy any calls for January? No, Ricky, he buys them in the near month.
I buy options that
he bought
expire
500 of the
700
700 of the 10s or the 5s. Yeah, you. I can't remember what you bought. The 2s. The 2s. He bought 700 of the 2s. Looks like a good deal now.
Looks like a good deal. I'm 49 cents away from being in the money. What is it this thing runs? Okay. Let's say it runs to 3. Right? Think about that.
You could have $1 if depending on when it goes. So you would have 700,000 or 70,000?
70,000.
70,000.
Right. Not a bad play for no money, right?
Not a bad play at all.
That's the way you play. And I posted, William,
you could get
all the
sewer system
all the nice people on the phone. I put the I put the Brownfield Fund, and they're the Big Short. How do they work? They bought cheap options, calls and puts, and they speculated on things that people didn't think would happen. And they went from $100,000 to $30 million. And when the market crashed, they made $200 million. That's all from buying cheap options from $100,000. And that's the way I played. It's in the movie, The Big Short. I posted it on Twitter. You can watch it. Go watch it yourself. You see it right there. That's how you operate. Keep asking away, people.
A bunch.
And I'm sorry, William, I've had no voice at night.
I've had no dog.
I had that. I'd live with that too. So,
do you think we will get the dividend before finger goes? God, this focus on the dividend. Oh, I see what you mean. You're worried, are we going to get the dividend? Because if it goes, you'll sell and you won't get the dividend. I don't think you're going to care about it if it runs. You're not going to care.
I'll tell you what, you can have my dividend shares. I could kill us.
I think the dividend is probably a few weeks. I don't know. I think yes, but I think a squeezing finger could take a lot longer than hand things.
If it squeezes and the dividend not issued yet, do not make your investment strategy based on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just take your money, if it's ripping, roaring, and you want to get out and don't think about it.
Ham once said, turn a great trade turn a good trade into a great trade, flip stocks into options during the run. What price would you look to sell and how far out with the strike?
I would always play near terms. Listen, when this stock goes, okay, people, finger motion's going to be expressed. Root did the little meandering, left, right, up, left, right, up. Hey, come on, guys. Give it a break. Get out of here. Left, right, up, down, sideways. Finger motion is going to be boom. It's going to be like HKD. Boom, 20 points. Boom, $15. Boom, $20. That's finger motion.
Oh, Sunil met Martin at the shareholder meeting. Martin comes off as a very genuine person and has shareholder interest as his top priority. He said financials will take care of the shorts.
Oh, there you go. And I told you before, if you've been listening to me, hey guys, come on. Get out of here. Here's the ball. Come here. Hold on a second. I got two dogs. They fight with each other, William.
Bleach will take care of the shorts.
The Martin is a wonderful speaker. He's very attentive to details, and I couldn't be more pleased having a guy like that as a CEO. I think he's great, and it comes through just on your calls, William. Yeah. And he just told you fundamentals are going to take care of the shorts. William, what did my friend Rob tell us in Atlantic City?
He said, "Have the steak. It's better than the spaghetti." No, he did say that. That's what he told us. He said 100%. As soon as the fundamentals take over, the shorts are done. What happened in Root? The fundamentals took over, the shorts were done. Look what happened. 156 from 7. I personally think that the stock finger motion has a chance to be $3 by Friday. That's my opinion. And you can sit there and say, this fucking guy's drunk, he's drinking too much cough syrup, whatever you want to say. But that's my opinion. The cat's out of the bag. I told you I just pitched a couple of fund managers out west, and they bought 30,000, whether it was 30, 40,000 today. They just started. There's a lot of money that's been rotating out of the big guys. So maybe that money's coming down to some of the other plays.
Listen, these guys are the type of people, when they buy it, they'll buy 200,000-300,000 shares, whatever the price is, and they'll tell their friend to buy it, and this guy tells his friend. And I'm telling you, you asked me before, where are the whales? I'm telling you that they're around. They're all over it. And the fund in Singapore that runs $500 billion, if they decide to step on the gas, all right, they already lost, the stock was 120, they already lost 30 cents. I don't think they're going to be waiting much longer. The problem is it's 4 o'clock in the morning in Singapore. So I guess when they come in and see the stock had a spike to $1.67, saying, okay, we want to buy a couple of more million shares of stock. If we keep waiting, that could have been us today buying 500,000 shares instead of everybody else, right? Yeah. Listen, the difference between GBUX and finger motion is GBUX got ahead of itself. It squeezed to 10. The shorts beat it down. Now it's turned into a game, right? By all means, the shorts should have folded when it went to 10. What did they do? They sit there and say, F you, we're not going away. We're not letting these guys win. Let's press the bet. Now they press the bet, and now they have a real problem because now the short is going to grow, and they're going to be trapped, just like Lynn Partners did in finger motion, okay? GBUX isn't the same massive short as finger motion, but GBUX has no shares in a float, and they're short 2.3 million shares. So, like I told you before, owning one share, 100 shares of it, I know we all can't afford to own a zillion shares of these names. There's too many of them. Right? When you cash out on one, you can go to another. We all got it. And I think the shorts know, and the street knows, that if they let us win, we're going to trample them, and that we will. Any other questions for him?
Will the big funds sell out of Finger if the price goes up?
No, they're going to hold on to it forever.
What price will they sell out at?
Listen, if they're coming here for this, if they're here for the fundamental play, they're not selling. If they're here for the short squeeze and a fundamental play, both, and the stock they believe has a $50 target on it, and the stock's trading at 200, they'll sell it. Because it exceeded what they thought it could do. They're not stupid. They know the short numbers are going around. They know it. Like I said, I think the stock has a chance to be
The Fed blames Trump. Okay, good.
Blames him for what? For people scratching cars? What are they doing?
Blames Trump for uncertainty.
Market's up. What are they blaming him for?
Anything new out of Goldman for GBUX?
I just told you what I heard.
I'm just reading. You wanted the questions.
No, I just told you what I heard.
Did GBUX finalize the letter of intent? If not, when do you
I'm
think
not part of it. We'll see. Let's see what they do. I'm not on the inner circle on that, so I couldn't tell you. Do I think they're doing it? Yes. Am I in the inner circle? No.
Will you roll your options if you're making a profit to a higher strike price?
If I turn that in from 5 cents and I'm selling them at $2, that's 140,000. The $5 calls will have thousands of open interest for me. I will press that bet from $3,500 to 140,000. I'll turn that 140,000 into 10 million in calls. That's what I'll be doing.
Can the big whales and institutions decide at the last moment to short the stock, or is that something they wouldn't do?
Would they short the stock?
Can institutions?
Yeah, when it goes to $2,500, they'll short it.
Yeah.
They're not doing it now. This trade on the short side, I don't even know how to describe it. It's the most, based on the company's presentations, based on the company's presentation, based on their numbers, based on everything that they got going on. They are, there's no reason to be short this stock at all. And nobody would do it. The only person short this stock are people that are committing fraud.
What do you think about ZJYL?
I told you that when I hear something, I'll tell you. People are telling me that the stock is trading up yesterday. The volume's coming in. I'd rather pay $1.50 than pay 90 cents for it.
Because then you know it's in motion.
You got it. So here it is, GBUX. To give you an example, GBUX. You know what? I didn't buy a zillion shares of it. Hey, get over here. And you know what? It ran to $10. Did I sell it? No. Do I want to sell it? Should I sold it? Maybe. But I told you I wasn't, and I wouldn't. But now that it's in play, if I have extra money, I will be buying the dip. We saw what can happen, right? You know the short's here. We pointed out the bad guy to you.
Frankie sees a big buyer in ZJYL over the last 11 days.
Yeah, he's been posting that.
5 minutes before the close. Will you buy puts and finger on the way down?
Would I buy puts on finger on the way down? When a stock screams up like it's going to, it's very difficult to buy puts because you could sit there. It could stay up for a minute. It could stay up for a week. Or it could stay up there for years.
You know, I think one of the toughest disciplines is when you make a ton of money in the market, just turn it to cash and leave it in your account for 6 months so you can get used to
Yeah, no,
that
you gotta
money.
listen.
Don't trade it anymore. Stop trading. They'll take it. It's just like the casino boss. They'll let you keep trading the whale at the casino. You make a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And they buy you some booze and some caviar and send you some chicks. And the next morning you come back and you lose it all.
You just move away. You could, if you made $500,000 put 400 in your pocket and play with 100. That's the only way to do it.
I mean, if you made $1 million, I don't know. If you make $1 million, take it out and be a millionaire for a year before you start trading again. Get used to it. Then make it part of your identity. And then
if you're married, get a girlfriend. She'll take that million from you.
You don't even have to get married to lose everything to a I remember when behind every, rich man, strong man stood a good woman. I don't know. It seems like all they do is run it down.
That's not true. That's not true. My ex-wife treated me. She was very nice to me.
Right up until she worked the condo.
She took the condo and my Ferraris.
Very nice to you.
She left me with using my thumb.
Boat bomb rolled options on AMC and turned 40K into 1.3 million.
There you go. I told you. Congratulations.
I bought GBUX at 4 and didn't sell. I guess I'll buy more here. I bought GBUX at 4 and didn't sell. I guess I'll buy more here. Well,
listen, again, I can't trade your account. Some people sold it and bought it back. I mean, William paid 8 for it. I have friends that bought it. I have friends that paid 9 for it.
I paid 8.
That's just the way it goes. Listen, I'm not here in the game to make $1. I'm not here. I could do that any day. I'm not here to do that. If you want to go make $1, there's plenty of trading rooms. Go knock yourself out. Go run with the Buffaloes and knock yourself out. I don't do that stuff. Number one, I could pick my own stocks. Don't anybody tell me.
Then to the edge.
People, I'll leave you with we got another 10 minutes and I'll go anyway. But I think finger motion is going to run. I have this gut feeling it's going to 3 this week. I really have that feeling. Don't ask me why. Just a serious gut feeling.
A mid. Adam Hoffman, 24 years old, left Griffin Citadel hedge fund to join Doge. So either Doge is going to become corrupt or Citadel's going to become Shitadel.
There you go. We finally got some turncoats. Like, I think that in GTII, I think Charlie Mayo gave up the Kramers. I really do think that he gave them up to save his own ass. I think that there's always somebody. I think someone in Jeff Easton's camp, one of those women, the CFO or the other person, I think they're giving up to Jeff Easton before they go to jail. There's always people like that. Hindenburg got given up by Andrew Left or Anson Fund. They all give up each other. When they're facing jail time, watch how fast it turns.
$41,000 block buy on ZJYL.
I'll give you my opinion on CJYL.
They seem to be asking for it.
I think that Univest is involved with them. I think they let these stocks drift down. They accumulate zillions of shares, and when they pop, they sell it and they repeat and rinse. That's my opinion. So I haven't heard anything, but someone's, like you said, the guy's watching it. Good luck. And when I bought it, GDC, they destroyed it. I bought the dip. I got crushed. It went down to the bottom. I averaged down. I got lucky. It went to 7. I didn't hesitate. I called William. I told him I sold it. I told everyone I sold it. But it's going high. It went to 12. I didn't care where it went. I was out. And that's how I play. My 2 puppies are out of control today. They're eating, destroying everything. All right, William, I gave you my opinion on finger motion. I think it's going to be 3 this week. Oh, what's that, William? Oh, you bought calls for March. Ah, hope I'm right.
If you're right, you can,
that'd be a better pick. That'd be a better pick than Joe Namath picking the Jets to beat the Colts.
Yeah, that's a lot of quid you'll make.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm gonna do exactly like the gentleman said in AMC.
We'll see if you're insufferable when you're a millionaire.
Me?
Yeah. See if it changes you.
All I want to do is go take a steam, a jacuzzi, play some pickleball. And that's it. I don't care about anything else anymore. As long as you're healthy. Let me tell you something, people. Whatever the cough was that I had, you better hope you get it. It was tough. I mean, I would cough for 30 minutes straight. But
there's something in China apparently that's really bad. And it's killing a lot of people.
The egg rolls. I was talking to.
Is he?
The shorts and what else?
If you will be,
it was $1. Jump in front of a train. Don't worry about it. They'll get theirs. So in GBUX, there was 1,200 offered at 245, no trades, and it's now 244 bid, offered at 245 for 100. So these guys are trying to spoof, you name it, doing everything they can, trying to get people to come out of the stock. So, all right, people, I'll leave it at that. I can't. I'm saying the same stuff.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. I hope I have my voice tomorrow.
Appreciates it.
No problem. Have a great night.
So I was looking for a picture of Lucky. I didn't get a very good one. And there he is. But I found this picture. I told you, I guess, a year ago or so. I don't know. You guys probably weren't here. But one day my dad said, "Come on, Bill, let's go. Let's go." And I said, "Where are we going?" Let's get a drink." So anyway, I showed up. He invited me to the British Embassy, and I showed up at this VIP party at the British Embassy with him. And he was wearing something around his neck. It turns out I don't think he was the only VIP, but he was one of a handful. And he was being honored for his time in Papua New Guinea, Republic of Vanuatu, and Solomon Islands. And anyway, we're standing there with a gentleman from, to my memory, it was Vanuatu, and he was the minister of something. As I'm saying it, I think he might have been the minister of finance, but it might, anyway, he was a high up guy from the Republic of Vanuatu. Dad introduced, and he said, "Bill, hold my beer. I'm gonna go hit the head." So I'm standing there with 2 beers, and this gentleman's talking. He says, "That man is your father?" And I said, "Yes, he is." He said, "Oh, I've got to tell you, in my country, people love your father. Your father, he's a great man. You're very fortunate. He's a great man." And I said, "Well, thank you. That's nice of you. I never visited. I wish I'd gone when he was posted." He said, "Yes, I must tell you, your father is not a white man. He's not a white man." I looked at him. I said, "Are you kidding?" And I knew what he meant, but it took me back in a second. But here's my father, the Republic of Vanuatu. And I think he looks like a white guy to me. But his point was, Dad treated everybody as people. He wasn't arrogant, probably like the British. But anyway, I just saw that. It made me think of my dad. Let's see what some of the prices are doing. NIXX 210. I think you've got, based on some feedback, I think you might have some time. Here's how I see it. If Nixie is going to announce good news, they're not going to announce it on Thursday or Friday. So I think you got a couple of days, but that's starting to break out of that $2 level. So it looks good. Let's see FNGR. FNGR is 151.5. That's starting to look very strong. And it's breaking through that 150 range. 155 maybe next. That's good. What's the volume? Wow, a lot of volume, 645,000 shares. So on a Queen of Trades, I hope you're doing well in FNGR. And then the one that'll be down is RLAIF. We always buy when things are going up, but Rail is at 27 cents. And then what was the other one? Oh, GTII. God, nightmare. 15 cents. Guys, it's only 4,500 shares. The market cap, it's being priced. The whole complex of GTII is being priced on 4,400 shares. Let's call it 4,500 shares at 15 cents. So a total of 4,500 times 0.15. $700 is pricing. is pricing it at $50 million market cap. You gotta, I mean, you might be right, but I'd suggest a little caution there. Did you grab your jewels and turn your head while coughing? Yeah. Do you think SCM will get served? ACM is just a crappy, they all are, they're just crappy market makers. And I bet they're like bar room. You know, you ever go to a bar where it's packed, music is pounding, the chicks are hot, the guys are, you know, muscled. And I'm sitting in the corner and the nicest girl comes to talk to me. No, you've never been there. But when you look at the bar, they've got one bottle of vodka, two bottles of gin, several bottles of whiskey spread out across the whole back of the bar. And you're looking at it, you're going, what the hell? This place is packed. And the reason they do that is if they get in trouble, they can just turn the key and walk away, and they don't leave a lot of booze behind. It's that way with these market makers. They're fly by night, and there's bars out there that are, maybe it's not fly by night, but fly by the month, fly by the year. They're just promoters. They'll just move on. Yeah, that is a nice memory. He told it much better, the guy, than I did, but I never visited him. I was working at Merrill Lynch, and I was so important, but I should have gone. But everywhere Dad went, he told me he was invited back to Birchco, and Dad was the I forget the title, but he was like MacArthur was to Japan. Dad was like that to Birchco, and it's this area of, at the time anyway, there were 40,000 Muslim families. The Dayton Peace Accords froze everything in place. So the Serbs and the Bosniaks had pretty much had their run of Birchco, and they had, anyway, the Muslims had been driven out of their homes, and it was tough. And without going through some of my memories of that, Dad's job was to get Muslim families back into their homes, basically. And he told me he used strategies he had learned in the Navy and taught at the Naval College, and he got it done. And but he ran afoul. He was the highest civilian in Bosnia, highest authority, and Wes Clark was the second person up, but I forget who was running the whole thing. It was a Brit, or it was it doesn't matter. It might have been this German Swiss guy. I can almost remember the name. Anyway, Dad stood by his guns on something, and he ended up leaving early, resigning early. But anyway, he was invited back years later Gaspadine Ferrand. And he told a story of how he was, and of course they have security around him when he goes, but he told a story about how they were touring the still rundown areas, and Dad was going through, and there was this man who was sitting on to my memory, a cinder block in his front yard, and his house was still in shambles, and it was still on the list, I guess, of further renovation. But this man was waiting for Dad, and when Dad walked by, he was in tears. He had something to read for him, and he thanked my father for basically getting their home back. And apparently there were a bunch of people, but Dad never talked about those things. He never, when it would come up, he'd let you know, but he didn't carry that with him. He always treated people, everybody the same, everybody. If anything, people in the highest power and with the highest money, he was more disdainful of than just common people. My dad was a good man. I was fortunate with that, but also, I don't know how you live up to a guy like that, Anyway, there was an article here that I would read for oh gosh, my brain. I'll think of her name in just a second. My brain, I have such a bad brain. But anyway, it's written by Byron King, and the title is Gold versus NVIDIA. Byron King, you can find it on the Daily Reckoning site. And he says, today we will discuss gold, which recently crossed the historic threshold of $3,000 an ounce. There's more upside over time, I believe, both for the metal and for mining companies. I think mining companies are going to be huge, absolutely huge. Mining companies are going to cross the institutional threshold where, I don't know, making it up, anything under $50 million market cap they wouldn't invest in. But with the price of gold, with cash flows, all of a sudden they'll cross those levels and they'll become part of ETFs. They'll become part of investment portfolios. So mining companies are going to get exciting fast. So even at this new high for gold, gold is undervalued. But before we talk about gold, let's discuss a high-tech darling beloved by the stock market, namely chipmaker NVIDIA. NVIDIA, the tattooed lady. One of his colleagues, Enrique Abieta, predicted sometime in 2025, NVIDIA will lose $1 trillion of market cap. He said it at the end of last year. When Enrique said that, everyone in the conference room leaned in and said, whoa. So they had about 50 people at an elegant brick mansion in Baltimore. Not far from the Amtrak station. I used to spend a lot of time in Baltimore because, well, anyway, I've spent time at that Amtrak station. I mentioned this last point because long ago in the 1880s Gilded Age, the place was built by a multimillionaire industrial magnate, outside, one of the founders of the B&O Railroad. Today, it's owned by this building. It's owned by a holding group, and it's the parent company of the company that he's employed. We held our meeting there in this ornate structure 3 months ago in mid-December. Our publishers, writers, contributors, copy editors, and staff all came together to review last year and look ahead. Sometimes being around money, symbols of money, and especially around big, old, deep money, helps you think more clearly about money. Yeah, so when we met, Arthur, the turtle came up to Arthur and said, "Oh, Arthur, we used to be so happy. What happened to us?" And Arthur said, "And then we met." When we met, markets were over a month into digesting the re-election of Donald Trump. Things looked rosy. Indexes were up. And tech names in particular, wealth creation had been carried to nosebleed highs. Among the standouts last year was one super duper name, chip maker NVIDIA, with a market cap at the end of the year of $4 trillion. What could possibly go wrong with NVIDIA? Oh, NVIDIA, NVIDIA, the tattooed lady. Well, Enrique laid out a long list of potential problems with the company, any one of which could deflate even the mightiest balloon. Slower sales, flattening earnings, a tough national and global climate for overall growth, government regulation, difficulty with staffing, wages, competition from other companies, if not entire nations. China, for example, getting leapfrogged by other technology. Yes, even NVIDIA can encounter the usual bad things that happen to the big guys. After all, nobody stays ahead or on top forever. Something always happens. In other words, to cite ancient wisdom for you, oh, how the mighty fall, as the Old Testament lays out in 2 Samuel 1:27. I'm always fond of 2 Samuel 1:28, but I can't remember it right now. So what happened? In mid-January, an upstart Chinese company, which few had ever heard of, announced a powerful system for AI, and within a few days, NVIDIA's market cap tumbled off a cliff. I think that DeepSeek is a little bit fraudulent, but whatever. The company's share price dropped from 145 to 119 in a day, and over the next couple of weeks went to 107. NVIDIA dropped 18% in one day and 27% in a couple of weeks. No, NVIDIA did not lose $1 trillion of market cap in one day, as per Enrique's forecast, but the company did lose $1 trillion in market cap quickly. Let's not get into the weeds over NVIDIA, the tattooed lady. Sure, you can argue that the Chinese company and its AI wasn't everything it advertised, blah, blah, blah. All of that's not the point. The point is that NVIDIA spent over 2 years as the levitating, ascending, ever-rising darling of Wall Street, and tech investors everywhere. The company's share price went up, up, and up. You were either on the NVIDIA train or standing on the platform, staring at the caboose as it rolled down the tracks. But never neglect that old saying, buy the rumor, sell the news. That's I, Samuel 29. I'm not being disrespectful to the Bible. It's just I can't believe people remember and can quote these things. So I'm making fun of myself. And in mid-January, one single item hit the wires and popped the bubble. Poof, $1 trillion disappeared. So back to gold. That brings us back to gold, which, as I mentioned, recently crossed $3,000 per ounce. So good luck trying to getting this physical gold at that price, that spot price. Sellers charge a markup. Good luck trying to secure large amounts of gold for any significant buys. You're going to wait many months, and in some cases a year or more. Refiners are maxed out with future obligations to other customers, central banks. So that's why I'm telling you, we've got to shift our mindset to stocks now. These physical and deals we ran out of time. Let's ponder gold. This is what I was hoping he was getting to. Let's ponder gold in terms of what happened to NVIDIA, in particularly looking at the $1 trillion market cap loss recently. The math is straightforward. It's arithmetic, really. In terms of spot gold, the overall value of NVIDIA just lost the equivalent of 333,333,333 ounces of gold. NVIDIA lost $1 trillion divided by $3,000 per ounce. A well-run gold mine in a great geological setting, humming along, can produce about 333,000 ounces per year. That is a very good mining operation, will deliver less than 1,000th of the gold per year that NVIDIA just lost in market cap. So NVIDIA lost 333,333,000, and a perfect mine in a good location producing can produce 333,000 ounces of gold. So a really good mining operation will deliver less than 1,000th in a year of the gold that it would equal the loss in gold that NVIDIA had in a couple of weeks. That mine may cost $500 million to build. Do you see where I'm going? In essence, it's easier to create or lose large amounts of market cap with a company like NVIDIA than it is to build and run a productive gold mine. But one way or the other, gold is still gold. Gold and gold miners offer their own version of long-term value, wealth protection, and potential for gains. All right, here he comes. With respect to mines, I'm just using nominal numbers to illustrate the point. Barrick Gold, symbol is GOLD, strives to build mines that produce over 500,000 ounces per year or more, if possible. That's because Barrick Gold is big and always looks for tier one assets, 500,000 ounces of gold per year or more. Meanwhile, the world has many gold mines that produce substantially less. I think it's substantially fewer than 333,000 ounces per year. Again, that's a small fraction of what NVIDIA just lost, which tells you that NVIDIA may be overvalued while gold is undervalued. Again, I want to emphasize a straight mathematical takeaway in terms of the massive, near astronomical scope of NVIDIA's loss of market cap as calculated in gold. NVIDIA's market cap lost an amount equivalent to 333.3 million ounces of gold. That's well over 10,000 tons of gold at today's prices. That last number is more than all the United States government holdings in Fort Knox, the West Point, and Denver mints, and in the vaults beneath the New York Fed, if you assume the gold is there. If you hold gold, what does this mean over the long haul? Well, compare with what NVIDIA chips are worth today. Sure, there's a list price and perhaps a discount or a markup, but what will that chip be worth next year or in 5, 10, 15 years? If you hold an ounce of gold, what is it worth? Today's spot price, and that spot price has been moving up solidly on average for over a quarter of a century, delivering gains well beyond the broad stock market averages. While over the long haul, gold coins from 100 years ago still hold immense value today for both the metal and for the cuteness of them, the artistic, the numismatic value. If you hold gold, then that's great. But if you're new to the gold space, there's much to learn. We believe the move in precious metals is just getting started. All right, that was thrilling, wasn't it? Not the best article I've ever read. But the point he's trying to make is NVIDIA is massively overpriced compared to gold. Doesn't mean NVIDIA comes down. It means gold might go up. Oh, NVIDIA, NVIDIA. The tattooed lady. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want that. Yeah, I already read that one to you. All right, so good night, finger, ready to melt faces. Ripple won this SEC case. Red pepperoni. Red pepperoni. NVIDIA, NVIDIA. I don't think I can find that. NVIDIA, the tattooed lady. Let's see if there's any news on the JFK files. I don't think there really was. Doctors raise grave health concerns about NASA asteroid. Oh, it's too bad. America's wokest company fires CEO. Fed gives interest rate update. The truth of Harry's dock dump. Helen Hunt is 61. I don't see anything on hidden bombshells in JFK files that change everything. But I can't open that article. So I guess there are some bombshells. So I'll try to read those later. Stocks, bonds, gold, and crypto soar as Powell put appears. Zelensky backs Trump proposal to halt all strikes on energy facilities. Europe goes full totalitarian and puts the entire Western world at risk. Trump threatens Houthis with complete annihilation. I think that is really about securing the support of MBS, the Saudi prince, so that oil continues to be sold in dollars. All right, let me just look 2 more places. Then I'll sign out. There might be something interesting. All right, here's Martin Armstrong on gold. He's much more negative on gold than everybody. So let's see if it's interesting. Marty, I spoke to a friend at some bank, and he said gold is geopolitical, not inflation. Martin Armstrong's answer, well, as I have said, gold is not stopping when it's geopolitical. We gave our price and timing targets. Forget the BS about inflation. Gold is rising for the safe haven demand as geopolitical tensions increase. Banks who do follow us know that we are bullish on bullion's safe haven status as anxiety escalates about the global economy. The fact that the Federal Reserve is poised to keep borrowing costs steady realizes that Keynesian economics is dead. The rise in interest rates no longer stops inflation because government expenditures rise and politicians will reduce spending because the Fed raises rates. That's what he wrote. Probably could have been written better. The EU prepares for war. I don't like that. I don't like that. I like Well, I don't know if I like him, so I'll skip that. Hey, there's hope for me, I guess. Levitt is the speaker, White House spokesman. Levitt is married to a husband more than twice her age. All right, one more place. Where can I look? I'm not finding easy information on JFK. That's what I'm looking for. Here's some, okay, I found some. Here are some of the biggest bombshells uncovered by internet sleuths in the newly released JFK files by Jim Hoft. President Trump ordered the release of approximately 1,123 PDF files of classified blah, blah, blah. Lee Harvey Oswald was a poor shot. Lee Harvey Oswald was known to be a poor shot when he tried target firing in the USSR. Back in the USSR. JFK files reveal Lee Harvey Oswald was a spy, tried twice to obtain USSR visa from Mexico City. CIA memo from September 24, 1963 confirms Lee Harvey Oswald was under surveillance by the CIA 59 days before the JFK assassination. The CIA was responsible for JFK's assassination, Gary Underhill says. Then Gary Underhill was later found dead in what was ruled as suicide. A day after JFK was assassinated, Gary Underhill claimed that the CIA was responsible. He's a CIA guy. Less than 6 months later, Gary was found shot to death in his apartment. It was ruled a suicide. A man named Sergei Sornono allegedly had knowledge that Oswald would be killed after assassinating Kennedy and that Martin Luther King Jr. would also be assassinated. He also knew in advance that Kennedy would be killed in Dallas. Jack Ruby claimed that his decision to kill Oswald was influenced by his Jewish identity. I'm not sure why that would be relevant. Jack Rubenstein says that his killing of the Kennedy assassin was motivated by his being a Jew. And he interestingly refers to Lee Harvey Oswald as being a rat. I don't know. I can't figure out that connection. Mere hours after Jack Ruby shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover urgently called for a swift public report to prevent conspiracy theories from gaining traction. Lee Harvey Oswald was allegedly under the direction of KGB officer Kostikov, reportedly linked to Department V, which is Wet Affairs, aka Soviet assassinations. J. Edgar Hoover was asked whether Lee Harvey Oswald was an FBI agent, and if there was a conspiracy to assassinate JFK. A letter addressed to then Senator Joe Biden accused Joe Biden of being a traitor, and the letter was signed John F. Kennedy Jr. The CIA was intercepting U.S. Postal Service mail sent to the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic and had 300 CIA members indexing 250,000 names. I don't know. An interview with FBI Assistant Director Alan Belmont, May 6, 1964, includes questions about Ruby and Oswald's connections on page 27, but many pages are missing. A man claiming to be a Polish driver for a Russian vehicle, warning of Soviet plans to pay someone in the United States to assassinate the president. Newly released JFK assassination records expose a failed 1955 CIA surveillance operation in Havana. CIA memo reveals that agency officers claim they couldn't recall Watergate burglar James McCord's involvement in Cuban operations. JFK files reveal CIA's extensive global operations, listing 34 secret field bases across Africa, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. JFK sought to dismantle the CIA's independent authority. A lot of follow-up. All right, that's it. That's it. All right, I think I'm going to sign off. Wish everybody well. I hope you learned something from Ham, and we'll leave it there for today. We'll reconnoiter tomorrow. If I had to pick my timing for Nixie to move, I think it'll be next week. Railtown, I kind of feel the same way because good news will come out usually at the beginning of a week. But somebody who has a large position said, look, they're not going to wait. They're going to put it out as soon as they can, they get whatever they're waiting for. It's just, I'm just basing it on press releases, but they have to finalize. So I assume it's lawyers or accountants, people that take their sweet butt time. But so maybe I'd move Railtown as being slightly more urgent over the next couple of days. Nixie being sort of beginning of next week. Finger clearly is gaining momentum, and I would be careful of the other name I mentioned to you based on market cap. And look, these other three, the ZJYL, the GDC, and the GBUX, they can get legs at any time. But anyway, that's where, and then of course, I wish you guys could buy silver. I wish. I'll try to do a video on that. Anyway, peace and peace around the world.